So many Marines were sacrificed, most of them were Marine elite generals, and even the bones of these people were mixed together. As the Marine Admiral who led the team, Sakazuki could never let Buggy the Clown escape from here, and he wanted to pay for his death with blood. Heroic spirit. Marine headquarters has different opinions. They have to consider the overall situation, and a Kainu admiral has been defeated once, and there is no guarantee that he will not be defeated next time. If an admiral loses his combat power, this is unacceptable to all of Marine. Sakazuki, I order you to collect the remains of Marine officers and not to pursue Buggy the Clown privately. Kizaru Admiral has already gone to reinforce. The call bug from Marshal Sengoku, he was not discussing with Sakazuki. The clown Buggy is relatively strong personally, but his pirate group is not yet in full swing. Marine has more important things now. Buggy the Clown was seriously injured. The opponent's physical strength is about to reach its limit. I believe that as long as we catch up with him, Kizaru and I can kill him. Sakazuki expressed his thoughts. He wanted to avenge his Marine, and he couldn't do such a thing as letting the tiger return to his mountain. Don't act alone. Wait for Perusalino Admiral where you are, and cut off that damn live broadcast signal for me. Marshal Sengoku hung up the phone, but Sakazuki's face didn't look good. This man with absolute justice wanted to do something that would not be tolerated by foreign military orders. You guys wait here for Perusalino, I'll chase Buggy the Clown by myself. Although he was knocked into the sea in the battle just now, Akainu is better than Buggy the Clown in terms of physical strength. After all, a man who can fight Aokiji Admiral for 10 days and 10 nights is not afraid of a protracted battle at all. This blonde girl of unknown origin took the initiative to help Marine, but she said a strange thing, saying that she wanted to destroy the island or something. Her language and behavior were still a bit weird. I have been looking for Buggy the Clown for a long time. I want to avenge the people in this town. If I don't kill him today, it will be difficult to relieve the hatred in my heart. In her subsequent narration, Artoria mentioned something that pirates often do. The island where the girl had received a favor was indiscriminately bombed by the clown Buggy, causing a large number of civilian casualties and the loss of a large amount of treasure. In order to avenge the townspeople, she has been chasing the clown pirates in a small boat. However, a girl with no navigation knowledge often gets lost in the East Blue waters. If the sky screen did not prompt that Buggy the Clown appeared in Logue Town, she would have spent her whole life looking for it. Don't be the target of revenge. Relying on the guidance of kind-hearted people, the blonde girl finally caught up with the battle in Logue Town and rescued Smoker at the critical moment to save the future of Marine. This chivalrous girl is naturally kind to Marine. The temperament she exudes is not that of an evil person. In addition, she has a hatred of evil and will not join any pirates. She naturally belongs to the Marine camp. Then you come with me. With the help of your swordswoman, Buggy the Clown will not be able to leave alive today. Sakazuki Admiral agreed with the blonde girl's idea. With such a strong helper, he would be more confident in dealing with Buggy the Clown. The Marines around him advised him not to disobey Marshal Sengoku's orders, but Akainu Admiral never listened to his advice. He often disobeyed orders from his superiors, and no one here could stop him. A golden light flashed from the sky, and a man with a wretched face wearing sunglasses appeared in Marine's field of vision. The man who came was none other than Perusalino Admiral, codenamed Kizaru in Marine, a user with Logia Sparkling Fruit ability. Fortunately, I caught up and wasn't late. This man had his hands in his pockets in the air and looked like he needed a beating. He entered Marine together with Sakazuki. Both of them were veritable monsters. You came just in time. With your speed, you should be able to catch up with Buggy the Clown. Help me delay it. Buggy the Clown is such a scary monster. I probably won't be able to defeat him. Sakazuki, you'd better obey the Marshal's orders. Marine Admiral, who has a lazy and righteous mind, clocks in every day and is the most leisurely job, and has been waiting for retirement when he gets old. How can Marine Admiral work hard for his small salary? Does your behavior still qualify as a Marine Admiral? Perusalino plucked his ears in the air and pretended not to hear. He was simply the reincarnation of a fish monster. When it was time to do it, he did it better than anyone else. He had little prestige or influence in Marine. Don't care. Kizaru Admiral and Akainu Admiral are equal in the Marine. Neither of them can order the other. They only obey the orders of Marshal Sengoku. The former was only ordered to reinforce Sakazuki, but he did not say that he wanted to hunt down the clown Buggy. With his wretched look and his indifferent attitude, the furious Sakazuki wanted to beat Perusalino, so promoting him to Admiral was a huge mistake. After turning around and thinking calmly, Marshal Sengoku, Kizaru Admiral, and the surviving Marine soldiers all did not want Sakazuki to leave alone. In order not to lose his prestige among the Marines, he decided to place his hope on the blonde girl in front of him. Artoria, just use whatever tricks you have. If you can really kill Buggy the clown here, all of Marine will owe you a big favor. Even if you fail and destroy the island afterwards, you will not be held accountable. First think Marine Admiral's name assures you. Okay, please remember your promise. All of you, step aside, I want to free my sword. When Artoria said she wanted to free the sword, her whole personality underwent an astonishing transformation, like an ancient king ruling the world. The people present dragged the wounded back to the remaining warship. They were on the coast to witness with their own eyes the blonde girl's next peak sword strike. The blonde girl raised the invisible weapon above her head, releasing the restrictions of the Wind King's barrier. The sword kept revealing its true form in the blue storm and dazzling light. This sword was the holy sword of the star, the vow of victory. Sword. After the true identity of the sword was completely revealed, a strong storm came from above, causing waves to rise along the entire coast, causing the marine warship to stumble. The girl held the golden sword high above her head, making all the Marines present moved. I really saw an incredible sword. Perusalino regained his careless expression. Here, he understood light better than anyone else. When the shining sword appeared in his eyes, the power of devil fruit in his body was actually full of this girl. Yearning. Is this sword the supreme sharp sword? It feels even more powerful than this level. Vice Admiral, a ghost spider who often plays with swords, couldn't help but sigh. For a swordsman, having a good sword is even more powerful. Was she ever a king? Sakazuki saw some shadows of a king in this blonde girl, the aura of a king dominating the world. Who was she once? The clown Buggy dragged his seriously injured body to the side of his crew. At this moment, this group of evil-doing pirates were searching for treasures in the town. The townspeople living in Logue Town were in such a hurry when they left that they couldn't take most of their things with them. Instead, they gave the clown pirates a free advantage. Gia, kids, prepare the boat and let's go out to sea. Marine will catch up soon. Master Buggy, we were preparing the ship just now. Others are moving things to the ship. There are too many things to move. It was Mochi who first thought of replenishing the supplies on the ship. He also said that other pirates were searching around the town and would pack up and take away whatever was useful. This trip was not easy. Logue Town is the only way to enter the upside-down mountain. The maritime economy and trade are relatively developed, and it is considered a particularly wealthy town. Smoker, the White Hunter, used to guard this place. The pirates wanted to take advantage of this place, and they were all caught after they were renovated. To jail. With this opportunity today, the pirates were like a mouse falling into a rice vat, robbing the town of supplies without restraint, slowing down the progress of the voyage. It can be said that Marine was not very rigorous in his work, allowing the townspeople to leave Logue Town, but did not sink the clown pirates' ship, giving these guys a chance to escape. I watched with my own eyes as Alberta walked out of a women's clothing store, carrying large and small bags in her hands, and wearing a brand new set of clothes. Others, like this female pirate, were shopping at Logue Town for $0. Mochi, please call everyone back. If they don't get on the boat within 10 minutes, they will stay in Logue Town forever. Buggy, the clown, said these words and turned into an afterimage at the same speed, rushing towards his pirate ship. Hurry up and call someone, don't you see that the captain is unhappy? Alberta originally wanted to visit a jewelry store, but the current situation could only give up. Carrying her carefully selected clothes, the woman chose to follow the captain's footsteps. The captain has changed a lot, right? The lion next to the trainer has been hiding behind Mochi and shivering since the captain came back. I really don't know what it is afraid of. It is such a timid beast. While the clown pirates were preparing the pirate ship, Marine had already been attracted by the blonde girl. Artoria, who had a solemn expression on her beautiful face, slowly closed her emerald-like eyes, brewing her own moves in her heart. So much lighter, did even my dead colleagues turn into light? Even the sea has risen with light. Some light spots floated up from the depths of the sea, some light spots floated out from the Marine Branch Cemetery, some light spots floated out from the bones of Marine who had just died in battle, and some light spots floated over from the direction of Loha Town. Spots of light from all directions converged on the golden sword. With the sword held high above his head with both hands, under the blessing of countless light points, the sword body has changed into a pillar of light that reaches the sky. The strong light has broken through the sky and has grown to hundreds of meters. Such a powerful move is still getting stronger. The light transformed from the sword is still growing longer and thicker. What a scary monster. Perusalino looked at the lightsaber thousands of meters in the sky. Fortunately, he brought a pair of sunglasses before setting off. Other Marines were not so lucky. Because of the relatively short distance, the flashing light of the lightsaber stung people's eyes, as if they were also being shown into the light. It seems that the island of Logetown will no longer exist in the future. Sakazuki kept his eyes open the whole time, enjoying the dazzling light. This righteous man perceived part of the truth in the light, and felt a noble belief that he had never experienced before. That shining sword is the tragic and lofty dream that all the warriors who died on the battlefield in the past, future and present have in their hearts when they are dying. She is proud of this will and carries out this reputation to the end. If this girl becomes Marine Marshal, I will always be an admiral. Sakazuki felt shocked in the sword, and suddenly had such a ridiculous idea in his heart. He was impressed by the girl's sword, he was overwhelmed by the girl's appearance, and even more impressed by the girl's will. With Artoria as the center, strong winds swept through the surroundings, letting the golden light illuminate the entire sea area, exuding a terrifying aura that destroyed the world. The blonde girl opened her green eyes, and the victorious king felt in her heart, full of confidence to win. Its name a noble phantasm, true name Liberation, the sword of vowed victory. Caliber. The lightsaber, which was thousands of meters long, struck down, and everything blocking it disappeared in the dazzling light. The marine branches that were originally spread across the sky were cut into two pieces in an instant. Then came the entire Logetown. Under the unparalleled light, the earth trembled and the houses were shattered. Wherever the light went, everything in the town was turned into powder. This was an unparalleled absolute power. Some Logetown residents who had not gone far, more than 10 nautical miles away, saw a sky-reaching light beam striking the location of Logetown. The power of destroying everything made these survivors kneel on the ground and beg. His moves are just like divine punishment, completely beyond the understanding of these ordinary people. When the dazzling light completely dissipated, Logetown, a once prosperous sea town, was wiped off the map with one move, leaving not even a piece of land to settle on. What followed was a flood of seawater, completely submerging it. Traces of past human life. This was a power that Marine had never controlled before. The girl's move was comparable to the ancient weapon, which seriously impacted Marine's worldview. He never expected that there would be such a powerful being in this world. Artoria put the sword back into its scabbard, and she was floating on the sea. What she had just done had no effect on her. There was not much change in her expression. If it had any effect, it was that she was a little hungry. Now she had something to eat. Psychology. Even the island is gone. Buggy the clown should be dead. If he doesn't die like this, we Marine won't be able to do anything to him in the future. What a terrifying attack power, but luckily it didn't fall on Marine's head. When the surviving Marines were discussing on the warship, Sakazuki asked the girl, "Do you have somewhere to go? I can ask the Marine warship to take you there." The blonde girl flew across the sea to the warship in 3 steps and 2 steps, and said to the Marines, "I have been traveling alone since I pulled out this sword. So are you interested in joining Marine?" The live broadcast signal of the newspaper King Morgan's has not been interrupted. The girl's devastating blow was recorded in the camera bug and spread throughout the world. In addition, Artoria boarded the Marine warship. This newsman, who was not too big a fan of the excitement, decided to write the press release himself and urged his subordinates to quickly print newspapers so that this world-shocking news could be conveyed to the entire known world. Logetown big event. The Admiral is defeated and Buggy the Clown hides a secret. The disappeared Logetown, is it a great good or a great evil? Humanoid ancient weapon, Artoria Pendragon, the world's #1 female swordsman, the world's #1 swordsman's strongest opponent. The strongest Marine in history, the end of the New World pirates. The most powerful pirate clown in history, Buggy, is alive and dead. The largest circulation newspaper in the pirate world, under the personal supervision of Morgan's, World Economic News published several newspapers in succession, allowing this big news to spread throughout the world. 1 day passed after the war. Smoker was still on the warship. He spent 100 belly to buy a newspaper. Each headline on it was more shocking than the last. The Birdman was the biggest headline maker in the pirate world. Behind the scenes, he also bought a newspaper. Fan the flames and put Marine on the fire. The newspaper also comes with several super close-up pictures. The first picture is of Buggy the Clown laughing after defeating a Kainu admiral. The second picture is of Artoria using the island destroying ultimate move to use a 1,000-meter lightsaber. The third picture is this is what Logetown looks like after it disappears into the sea. I have to say that their reporters are professional, and every photo is better than Marines. It stands to reason that 5 Elders is not short of zone bird fruit. The quality of printable newspapers cannot be compared to Morgan's, and the authenticity of the news is even worse than but. The world government has been dealing with the World Economic News Agency both overtly and covertly. The investigation of Morgan's, the president, has never stopped. It has done things like beheading and using him as a dog. As a result, the king of the underground dark world has always been. Zone devil fruit appears in its animal form. After so many years of targeting, he is still alive and well, firmly holding the right to speak as the best-selling newspaper, and a major provider of intelligence. In the end, there is nothing he can do to Morgan's. The newspaper was belittling Marine, exaggerating the clown Buggy's influence, and constantly touting Artoria's strength. It turned out that the 2 unknown little people, under the deliberate promotion of Morgan's, became a household name, reaching the point where no one knew it. But it is true that people cannot be judged by their appearance. A smoker looked at Artoria, who was eating hazelnuts. This noble girl, with stunning beauty, had empty dishes piled in front of her, all of which she ate by herself. One more bowl thanks. Artoria handed the empty bowl to the cook on the warship. She alone had the same amount of food as a dozen adult men. Now all the Marine cooks were surrounding her. Her small body of less than 2 meters would never be able to fill up any one of them. Stomach. Tashigi, who is also a woman, sat next to the blonde girl and kept bringing tea and water to Artoria. This courtesy was never used on her superior, Smoker. As a hobby of collecting famous swords, Tashigi was very interested in Artoria's sword. Her eyes never left her star sword. After pondering for a long time, she finally asked what was in her heart. Lady Artoria, I would like to ask you, I have never seen this sword in your hand. Is it the supreme sharp sword? Stop calling me sir. Just call me Artoria. My sword does not belong to the 12 skills of the supreme sharp sword. It is called the Sword of Victory. I got it from a big lake. The blonde girl answered the other party's question and felt a grain of rice in the corner of her mouth. She licked the corner of her mouth and ate it into her mouth. It had been several days since she was summoned to this world. This was the first time she had eaten such a full meal, and it was Marine's food. Pretty good. Your craftsmanship is so good. Please give me another bowl. Okay, Artoria-sama, you need to wait for a while. You have already finished the pot you just had. I will make another pot for you right now. The ship's chef didn't have any ill intentions towards this edible girl. Although her appetite was a little big, she was very strong. If the other party hadn't rescued Marine, I don't know how many people would have died in Marine. A murderous pirate will not pity a cook who has no fighting ability. Only the latter can surrender, and the former will never end well if he surrenders. In the battle at Logue Town, there were only 2 Marine battleships left in the end. One was led by a Kainu admiral, who took away the bones of the Marine who died in the battle and returned to naval headquarters with Artoria. Another ship, led by Kizaru admiral, conducted a large-scale search and inspection of this sea area. The purpose was to find traces of the clown pirates. Even a plank from the other pirate's ship would be enough. Under that terrifying island-destroying move, all traces were wiped out with a sword strike, and the clown pirates disappeared on the spot. Did Buggy really die under that sword move? A group of military doctors surrounded Sakazuki. While bandaging the wound, Marshal Sengoku called. The first was concerned about his physical condition, and the second was concerned about Artoria's affairs. She has agreed to join Marine. Marshal Sengoku, you should consider how to treat her. Throwing the question to the Marine Marshal gave the resourceful general a headache. This period was not yet the Marine recruitment period. To quickly promote a person with no Marine experience to a Marine admiral was something that was not done in Marine history. Has not appeared yet. Marine is a violent organization under the world government. The main source of budget comes from this. Adding an admiral to the organization will take up a lot of budget. This kind of thing needs to be negotiated with the 5 elders. Marshal Marine is not a man of words in Marine. He and I have thought about this situation and decided to temporarily set up an admiral candidate and set up an additional Marine admiral. I need to talk to Marshal Kong about it. However, money is a small matter. Marine can actually absorb such a strong person. It is a huge spiritual inspiration for Marine as a whole in the world. In the subsequent battles with the pirate group, there is no need to be like before. Look forward and backward. Marine has no shortage of middle and lower level soldiers. The only thing it lacks is high-end combat power. There are too many places to defend with high-end combat power. Instead, it is hampered everywhere and cannot gather all its strength to twist into a rope to completely wipe out the bandits at sea. The second half of the Grand Line, New World, has always been a paradise for pirates. Marines' power there can only be barely maintained. With the addition of Artoria, this situation may be broken. After having a good meal and wine, Artoria was assigned to an independent room. There are very few such independent rooms on warships. Only those with a rank of Vice Admiral or above have the right to use them. There are 2 female Marines standing guard outside the room, ready for instructions. Marine treated her very well. The blonde girl took out what looked like a Bluetooth headset from her pocket. She put it directly on her left ear, pressed the switch on it, and received a man's voice. Artoria, you're doing a good job. Just focus on lurking in the Marine and report to me as soon as you have new information. Okay, young master. But who would have thought that behind this big incident in Logue Town, there was a pair of dark hands hiding in the dark that was driving it all. East Blue Fukushima, the culprit behind the Logue Town incident. Mr. Li Wei focuses on leisurely enjoying his fishing time. When there is no fun in the world, he can only pass the time with hobbies in the last world. I had a secret phone call with Artoria a few days ago. This blonde girl has been accepted by Marines senior management and will be admitted to the position of Admiral candidate in a few days. At this time, Marshal Sengoku was still in charge. I originally thought that Marine would only give him the rank of Vice Admiral, but he didn't expect that it would go one step further. Artoria was just one step away from becoming Marine Admiral. A few years later, the old guy Sengoku retired, and Artoria had the opportunity to compete for the position of Marine Marshal. If one of her own became Marine Marshal, the scene would be unbelievable. The Bluetooth headset Artoria used for reporting was much easier to use than the Devil Fruit. Li Wei used the master machine, and then all his subordinates used slave machines. The slave machines cannot communicate with each other unilaterally. After the parent machine opens permissions, they can contact each other. This kind of prop was bought in the system store, called Unlimited Communication Equipment. I spent 10 million on duty and bought a set containing a mother machine and 5 slave machines. With this prop, spies from other forces can join other forces at any time and anywhere. Get in touch with Li Wei. While waiting for the fish in the sea to take the bait, Li Wei clicked on the hero interface of the system, and a 3D blonde villain appeared in his eyes. He was dressed exactly like Artoria. He was scaled down 10 times to look even cuter. Hero basic introduction and skill information can all be observed on this interface. Artoria Pendragon from Fate Series Age, Forever 15. Weapon. Anti-City Noble Phantasm, Sword of Vow to Victory. Talents. Magic Power, Riding, Path of Glory, Magic Power Release, Leadership Temperament. Abilities. Primary Conqueror's Hockey, Wind King's Barrier, Wind King's Hammer, Liberation Pledge Victory Sword. Mainly in terms of talents, the system has been extensively modified to make Artoria more adaptable to the world of pirates and let this ugly world experience the shock of foreign heroes. Talent against magic. It was originally ineffective against any magic, but was changed to its own ability to resist Devil Fruit. In close combat, it invalidates the ability of Demon Fruit power. Talented Riding. Able to skillfully control various vehicles, including marine warships. Path of Talented Glory. Gaining powerful combat intuition is the ability to instantly determine the most suitable action for oneself during combat. It has entered the field of predicting the future. It can predict ballistic trajectories through wind and intuition, avoid attacks by firearms, and reduce visual and hearing impairment by half. Innate Magic Power Release. Refers to strengthening one's weapons and body through magic power. The silver armor worn in battle is also woven with magic power. Talented Leadership Temperament. This talent is endowed with a more powerful ability by the system. The morale of the army led by it becomes higher and never defeated. The amazing morale guarantees that the army will fight to the last man. The physical fitness of our army members will be increased in all aspects. The weaker the ability in the team, the stronger the amplification effect. The first hero he got for free was perfect in all aspects. Li Wei just exchanged her for a Junior Conqueror's Hockey Comprehension card, so he didn't need to worry too much about other aspects. She was born to get along with Marine and mix with the Revolutionary Army. On the contrary, it is out of place. Artoria's last gift of leadership is more effective than the Revolutionary Army's encouragement fruit. Let her lead a large army in a frontal battle, and a small soldier turns into a super soldier. It is simply a nightmare for pirates. In addition, our king, when he was 15 years old, pulled out the sword in the stone. He stopped aging and kept the appearance of a girl forever. It can be said that he has the ability to live forever. If Artoria sits on Marshal Marine's position, I don't know how many levels of Marine Admiral she has to endure. Retirement is impossible, and it is impossible to retire in this life. Sengoku, Garp, and Suru will retreat to the second line of Marine as they get older, losing real power in a powerful organization like Marine. Even if Sakazuki cannot compete for the position of Marshal in the next few years, Artoria has definitely become a Marine Admiral. She can kill a Kainu in time, and the position of Marshal will be hers sooner or later. I really want to thank the News King Morgans. His newspapers and live broadcasts really helped me a lot. In the big event of Logue Town, Li Wei could use the marquee to broadcast live. He felt that doing so would lose a lot of power, so he simply gave up this option. In terms of Tianmu's positioning, it pays more attention to writing the future, and does not care too much about what is going to happen now, so that other forces believe that Tianmu is neutral. Fortunately, Morgans filled this live broadcast gap. Although the live broadcast effect was not as strong as the one brought by the marquee, he did his best to spread the battle process to the world, and his newspapers later added fuel to the fire. The headlines on the news are more shocking than the last. Talents like this should go to work in the UC News department. Morgans is indeed the biggest headliner in the pirate world. Later in the comics, Luffy's bounty was so high, largely because of this Birdman. When he was on Cake Island, he was no match for Big Mom, but when he escaped, he was promoted to be the 5th Emperor of the Sea. In order to make everyone believe in the future described by Tianmu, he could not let go of his children to trap the wolf, so Li Wei personally entered the body of Buggy the Clown, and with the blessing of the system's ability, he fought back and forth with a Kainu admiral, but it took him all at once. Li Wei's entire family fortune was worth 600 million yuan. During this period, he also exchanged a Junior Conqueror's Hockey comprehension card for Smoker. The punch on him made him comprehend Conqueror's Hockey. Otherwise, he would never be able to comprehend Conqueror's Hockey on his own in this life. Smoker is one of Li Wei's candidates for the future Marine Admiral. The deserter Wang Kebi has always looked down on him. It is better to let the White Hunter who has a better look take the position. He has to strike hard at those who have connections. What a cat and a dog. They can all be Marine heroes, which seriously reduces the quality of Marine heroes. Thanks to the help of Morgans, Li Wei gained more cheat points. The cheat points he originally spent on Buggy the Clown, this time he earned back both the capital and profits. The cheated points returned to the level of 1 billion, and Li Wei could enter the system store again and do a lot of shopping. There is no special need for props at the moment. Li Wei's own strength has reached the level of a swordsman. He can walk sideways in a small place like East Blue, and he doesn't need to waste his cheat points. Now being cheated can be spent in 2 directions. The first is to enhance the original characters in the pirate world, and the second is to recruit more heroic units. Since Marine has been strengthened, the pirates must also be strengthened. From the perspective of the people behind the scenes, Marine and the pirates are just 2 stronger crickets. If there is too great a disparity in strength between the 2 sides during the cricket fight, the original fun of crickets will be lost. To watch 2 crickets fight to the death, fighting to the death. Only one hero, Artoria Pendragon, is not enough. Li Wei needs more heroes to join. I don't know what his luck will be like today. After a day of fishing in the sea, I didn't harvest any fish. According to the law of conservation of character, if I don't have good luck here, my luck will get better elsewhere. Anyway, no one can stop today's decision to draw the hero pool. Switch the system interface to the hero pool option. Last time, he got a King Arthur for free. He might get a better character this time. In short, Li Wei is very confident in himself. The 100 million on duty stud entered, the hero pool flashed with the teleportation sign of the 6-pointed star, and a young man with a round head appeared in Li Wei's eyes. Am I right? How could it be him? Alan Yeager. From Attack on Titan age, 19 years old. Weapons. None talents. Hardening, body regeneration. Ability. Zone fruit giant form, mastering the power of the 9 giants. Just like what Li Wei thought, it was the boy who shouted, "Tap tap away," he is now a young man. Attack on Titan shocked him greatly when he was in school. Although the anime was later banned, the popularity is still high. No less, but unfortunately the author got sick and ended the comic, causing all the characters to have broken personalities, and the protagonist, Alan, became a clown. Now that Eren Yeager has been summoned, he is currently in a youthful state, which means that the world-destroying operation was stopped by the Holy Mother team, and then he was willing to be transported by Mikasa. He already has a very mature mentality. Am I not dead? This is. Eren Yeager looked around in confusion, and there was another unfamiliar sea nearby. In his life, the sea was a scenery that the opponent could not avoid. He said that there were enemies on the other side of the sea. his unswerving spirit of resistance. Memories. Li Wei was still a little moved when he got up. Later, as the owner of the hero, Li Wei gave Eren Yeager a general introduction to the world of pirates, and treated him to a feast of grilled fish. The fish was bought from a neighbor. The giant power in me has become the devil fruit ability, which means my lifespan will not be shortened. It would be great if Eren could come to this world. Alan thought about his closest friend, the virgin with superpowers. First, she could lift the life limit on Elman. Secondly, Alman would sail in a world full of seas by boat. Unfortunately, he won't come, and his lover Mikasa won't come either. If you choose death in the end, your life will end in that world, but you will live a more exciting life in this world. The hero unit is absolutely loyal to Li Wei, but they each have their own personalities. They are all living people. After completing the designated tasks, they will enjoy life in this pirate world and are thoughtful puppets. Alan possesses 9 kinds of giant powers. When using devil fruit, he can change the giant form at will. Each giant has a special ability. The somewhat useless giant form is enhanced by the appearance of the system god tier. The ancestral titan, the first method, feeds its own blood to humans, and after roaring, it can turn into an incorruptible titan, with a probability of strange species of giants appearing. The second method feeds spinal fluid to humans, which can be passed through the opponent's own body characteristics, change into one of the other 8 types of giants. The giants born from these 2 situations completely obey Alan's instructions. A super giant that becomes a super giant with a height of more than 100 meters. It can release high-temperature steam without consuming its own flesh and blood. In Attack on Titan, you can steal memories by eating the enemy, and you can see what happened to the enemy in the future. Female giants are a more flexible type of giant. They have the fastest movement speed and gain some of the abilities of other giants. The Armored Titan, a giant covered in hardened armor, can transfer his thoughts to various parts of his body to prevent him from being killed instantly in human form. Jaw Titan, a giant with specialized teeth and claws who can fly. A beast giant that changes into different types depending on the person, such as apes, elephants, flying eagles, etc. Warhammer Titan, this state can create hardened weapons out of thin air, and the hardened ability is enhanced. The Car Titan, the titan with the strongest endurance, can always maintain the form of a titan and can transform hundreds of times in a row. With the current ability of this young Eren, if he returns to the world of attack, he will definitely not be defeated by the Madonna team with explosives. Eren may be able to live happily with Mikasa. In terms of single combat power, Eren is definitely not Artoria's opponent, but the former is more like a war weapon, turning our weaklings into unsullied giants. With the level of guns and cannons in the pirate world, it is not possible to kill with one hit. The weakness of the back of the neck of the giants has been eliminated, and they have the ability to regenerate their bodies. After recovery, they can continue to fight. Moreover, the giants will only attack humanoid targets. Only by completely cutting off their heads can they finally stop them. The world government and Marine are studying giantization, and Charlotte Linlin wants to reunite with the country of giants. Giants are quite popular in the pirate world, and Alan's employment prospects are very bright. A young man with a will to resist was naturally not a member of the Marine side. After getting to know Alan, he still chose to join the pirate side. After all, he couldn't act like a dog to others in his previous life, and he even trampled the opponent's country to death with a supergiant. It was even less possible for him to act like a dog to the celestial dragons in this life. Then it is necessary to arrange a tragic life experience for Eren Yeager, and to have unsworn hatred with the world government. This is the most necessary. Only after he appears can others be more convinced. It's the plot plugger's turn again, but this thing is really easy to use. I spent 10 million to buy a plot plugger in the system. Its function is particularly powerful. It can distort some people's memories and insert the false memories they want. Anything that is too unreasonable will not work. The first one was used on Artoria. Li Wei thoughtfully used this prop to give her the origin of a subjugated princess. It is woven that there used to be a small kingdom called Great Britain on the East Blue, and then it was destroyed by pirates and completely disappeared from history. Artoria was the last member of the royal family. All her subjects died and she lost the reason to restore the kingdom. She was always alone. Wandering in the East Blue, I met a large number of ordinary people on many small islands and helped them fight against pirates. For such a strong person who appears suddenly, Marine will definitely back up the world government. If what she says does not match what is found, it will be difficult not to make people think that she is an enemy spy. She must do all the tricks to prevent people from making a show. See the flaw. When Artoria came to this world, she had no desire to restore her country, let alone govern a country. Carrying the expectations of all her subjects was too heavy for this girl. As for the plot for Eren Yeager, it is very simple. The world government has done too many dirty things, especially the plot of the notorious White Town Frevens. All tragedies are caused by greed. Alan became another survivor of the White Town after Trafalgar Law. The Straw Hat crew climbed over Upside Down Mountain and met the lighthouse keeper Crocus at Twin Points just like the original plot. From meeting him after being sucked into the whale Laboon's mouth, he now actively waits for the Straw Hat crew. He doesn't want to block a group of young pirates from entering the Grand Line because of Laboon. Uncle, it turns out you are the former Pirate King's ship doctor. You are really awesome. Luffy was very happy. He didn't expect to meet the ship's doctor from Roger's pirate group, and was rescued by him to prevent the ship from being destroyed. This was the third former One Piece crew member he met. In Crocus's subsequent description, the Straw Hat Pirates knew why the whale Laboon kept hitting the red line with his head. This matter started 50 years ago, and the source of everything came from the Lombard pirates. Abandoning the young whale, Laboon waited in place, agreeing to meet again after circling the world, but the Lombard pirates disappeared in the Grand Line. Later, one of the purposes of Crocus going to sea was to find them, but there was still no result. After Luffy heard this story, he took the initiative to have a fight with the whale Laboon, and agreed that after he conquered the Grand Line, he would sail around the sea and come back to challenge it. He also painted the Straw Hat Pirates logo on the whale's scarred head to prevent Laboon from continuing to harm himself. During this period, he also met people from Baroque Studio, Mr. Nine and Miss Wednesday. These two people came to deal with the whale Laboon, because this huge whale blocked the front, seriously hindering the pirate group from entering the Grand Line, and making the bounty hunter group in Whiskey Peak hunt less bounty. Things changed during this episode. Crocus planned to entertain the Straw Hat Boys, but he did not let the group leave so quickly. The two prisoners were tied to the boat. It turns out that Uncle also knows Buggy the Clown, but he was so weak that I beat him away. Luffy answered casually while chewing meat in his mouth. He didn't read newspapers very much and knew nothing about what happened in Logue Town. I didn't expect Buggy the Clown to change so much. I didn't notice it at all when I was on the boat. While Crocus lamented that he had missed something, he also took out today's latest newspaper and handed it to Nami, who likes to read newspapers. Now the only one with a brain in the Straw Hat Pirates is this navigator. The headlines in the newspaper and the accompanying pictures made the little thieving cat sweat. The battle in Logue Town completely exceeded imagination. Buggy the Clown, no, Lord Buggy is so strong. It's incredible that he can defeat Marine Admiral. She was more than happy in her heart. Fortunately, there was a mysterious Master of Wind who escorted the Straw Hat Pirates out of Marine's encirclement. If they had stayed there, they would probably be completely wiped off the map like Logue Town. The bounty of the Straw Hat Pirates has not changed. This may be the biggest blessing, or does Marine have no time to care about them? Sanji took the newspaper from Nami's hand. When he saw Artoria's beauty, he was instantly captivated by this stunning girl. He had never seen such a beautiful woman. Although her figure was not as strong as the current Nami's, she exuded his temperament as incomparable to that of a little thief cat. What a beauty. I really want to cook her a meal and let her experience my craftsmanship. The world's #1 female swordsman is truly a formidable opponent. Zoro drunkenly snatched the newspaper from Sanji's hand. He never cared about women, but he had a soft spot for the swordsman. Looking at the description in the newspaper, he could kill Logue Town with one sword. He knew that he was unable to defeat him at this moment. The target he wants to defeat in his heart is a female swordsman. Zoro needs these strong men to inspire him and become stronger to surpass these monsters. He, a three-sword swordsman, is also a monster. If Gu Yina was still alive, she would be able to grow into a female swordsman now. I never thought that one day I would be worried about knowing the future. A wry smile appeared on Nami's lips. If she had known how much money she could earn in the future, Nami would be very happy. But when she got on a pirate ship and became a navigator on the ship, everything changed. As one of the 2.5 brains of the Straw Hat Pirates, she was more worried about the news revealed on the sky screen. In the original future, there are people who would not have met, because the curtain has been revealed all over the world. More attention will be paid to Luffy and his gang, and they may encounter powerful enemies that they have never faced before. Crocus agrees very much with this. If he hadn't been attracted by the sky, as Laboon's doctor, he would have stayed in the whale's belly and wouldn't be here to greet Luffy the Straw Hat and his gang, let alone today's dinner. The impact of changes in the future is really great. In the original future, it is estimated that Logue Town will not disappear in the sea, and Buggy will get what he wants. The more he thought about this, the more Crocus frowned. Changes in the established future will affect the fate of many people, and will it affect his and Laboon's fate? As for what Buggy wanted to get from Bullet, Crocus, the ship's doctor who boarded the ship later, didn't know. Even if he was captured and tortured by the world government, there would be no result. On the contrary, Bullet in Impel Down will attract great attention from the world government and Marine. This militant guy has been in prison, constantly exercising and training hockey. He is incompatible with other prisoners on the same level and will inevitably suffer the bitterness of skin and flesh. I don't care about the future. I, Luffy, will be the Pirate King. Luffy opened his mouth and shouted loudly. His optimistic and adventurous spirit made him never have troubles, and when he had troubles, he would solve them with his fists. When he shouted his signature catchphrase, there was a sound above going merry. Are you really Straw Hat Luffy? Luffy heard the female captive on the ship calling him. He smiled and waved in response. I am Straw Hat Luffy, am I so famous now? Miss is the undercover agent of Wednesday Baroque Studio. She is Vivi, the Princess of Alabasta. However, this look is her dark history. This killer outfit completely conceals her beauty. Even Sanji, an old pervert, is not interested in this look of a woman. Interest. Originally, Nami didn't believe it. A princess from a big country was so destitute that she worked in a studio. Who would believe it? Coming to Luffy, Princess Vivi told her that Alabasta was currently undergoing a large-scale rebellion, and the mastermind behind everything was Crocodile, one of the 7 warlords of the sea. He was a pirate who was stealing the country. On Whiskey Peak on the route ahead, there is a group of bounty hunters preparing to hunt pirates in the town. They will dress up to welcome the pirates and hold a welcome banquet for each other. During this period, they drugged the pirates to stun them, and then gave them to Marine in exchange for the corresponding bounty. This group of people worked here for many years. Princess Vivi believed in Straw Hat Luffy for the first time when she met him. It was not because she was naive and romantic, but because the sky screen revealed the future, saying that Luffy could defeat Crocodile. After resting for a day at Twin Capes, navigator Nami learned from Crocus that all the islands on the Grand Line are magnetic, so the compass used in East Blue cannot be used here. This suddenly touched the little thief cat's heart. Knowledge blind spots. Fortunately, Mr. 9 and Princess Vivi have the record pointer to the next island in their hands, which is Whiskey Peak, an island occupied by a group of bounty hunters. Princess Vivi revealed her life experience, but Nami, who was too naive, didn't believe it, and even wanted to take them to the other party's base camp. This was simply throwing herself into a trap. However, the Straw Hat crew currently does not have a permanent pointer in their hands. If they accidentally sail into the Calm Belt, there are so many Sea Kings there that this group of people cannot deal with it. This time, Straw Hat Luffy and his team, with Princess Vivi as the leader of the Baroque Studio, were not deceived on the small island of Whiskey Peak. Luffy, as the captain, did not have a misunderstanding or fight with Zoro. Mr. 8, a Baroque member stationed at Whiskey Peak, this curly-haired man was a subordinate of Princess Vivi. With these two insiders working together, they easily defeated hundreds of bounty hunters. After defeating the opponent and having a feast here, he met the members of Baroque Studio who came for reinforcements in the evening. They were a man and a woman who came to get rid of Princess Vivi. As long as the members found out the true identity of Baroque Studio's fertilization, they will get rid of these people. It is really ironic that the boss of a studio that supports bounty hunters is one of the 7 warlords of the sea. Princess Vivi, we are also following orders. Your return to Alabasta will cause trouble for the studio. Mr. 5, the Paramecia bomb fruit user, can also be called the booger fruit user because he has endless boogers. The two sides started fighting after a disagreement. Mr. 5 was picking boogers in his nose, and the boogers he shot out were bombs with amazing power. Zoro tried it with a knife. Although he cut the booger bomb into 2 sections, the effect of the bomb was still there. A pirate hunter actually boarded a pirate's ship. Let me crush you to death here. In the wind and waves of the explosion, a blonde woman floated into the air. This is Ms. Valentine Paramecia, a user with the kilogram fruit ability. She can adjust the weight of her body at will, and can strengthen it to more than 10,000 kilograms at most. Just when the two were posing to show off, Zoro and Luffy each picked one and knocked the other to the ground within 2 moves, easily eliminating their opponent. The Baroque Studio duo relied too much on Devil Fruit's abilities, but they went astray in developing Devil Fruit's abilities. In terms of physical skills, they were no match for Luffy's group. It was normal for them to get beaten up. With Mr. 5 and Ms. Valentine, the 2 members of Ballet Studio stirring up trouble, the Straw Hat crew believed what Princess Vivi said. At Princess Vivi's request, Luffy agreed to help. The man from the 7 warlords of the sea was actually destroying a country. He couldn't stand this kind of thing. The way Princess Vivi knelt down and cried in front of him. He couldn't stand a woman crying in front of him the most, which made Luffy even more determined to defeat Crocodile. 7 warlords of the sea or something. Would the clown Buggy be powerful? Nami knew she couldn't afford to offend Marine's 7 warlords of the sea, but Luffy and Zoro were still eager to try. They had no idea how terrifying the pirates recruited by Marine were on the sea before. While everyone was talking, the unlucky duo responsible for intelligence work at Baroque Studio were observing the entire process on the 2nd floor. By the time they found out, the other party had already flown away and could no longer catch up. Seeing this result, Nami was afraid of being killed and silenced. She almost collapsed and grabbed Princess Vivi by the neck. She would rather not know the news. It was dark just now, so Nami thought that the pair of sea otters and vultures might not have seen her face clearly, and she wanted to go back to Kokoja village to hide from the limelight. She had just taken a few steps when she saw Mr. 13, a sea otter, drawing a sketch. Before Nami could step forward, he showed her his calligraphy treasure. It looks like a painting. Nami couldn't help but admire the other party's painting skills, which were much more professional than Marine's intelligence department. The sea otter sat on the vulture again, carrying the portraits of all members of the Straw Hat crew, and flew into the sky, leaving everyone helpless. Come back. I don't want to be hunted down. Nami was left alone to cry without tears. Then she hid in the corner, put her head into her knees, and fell into autistic state. Princess Vivi wanted to use her 500,000 Bailey's private money to comfort her. This Miss Navigator. You are the only princess of Alabasta. There should be a lot of treasures in the treasury. Let's help you save the country. It's not too much to give us some benefits. Looking at Miss Nami, who looked sad just now, but now her eyes were replaced by money, Princess Vivi timidly asked. How much are you prepared to ask for? No more, just 1 billion Baileys, Princess Vivi. Return the guilt I felt just now. Nami really dares to ask for it. Before Crocodile became the 7 warlords of the sea, he had already obtained a wanted order worth 80 million in bounty, which is worth 4 arlongs. After being recruited by Marine, the wanted order will be revoked. His current strength should exceed this bounty. Hearing the bad news, Usopp was trembling with fear. This kind of powerful monster was not something they could deal with, so they started to argue about breaking up and running away. He faced Nami-chan's invincible iron fist and knocked the sniper on the ship to the ground with one punch. The little thieving cat wanted to fight for the benefit of 1 billion belly. She had never seen so much money. While everyone was discussing the next countermeasures, Mr. 8, also known as Ikaram, walked out in women's clothing. He dressed up as Princess Vivi and held several dolls in his hands. He wanted to use his life to attract attention to the Straw Hat crew so that they could escape the joint encirclement and suppression of the Baroque Studio. Princess Vivi would never agree to such a dangerous thing that could lead to death. No, Ikaram, I can't let you die. Your Highness, this is the record pointer for the next stop. You must lead the Straw Hat crew to save our kingdom. At this time, Ikaram already had a death wish in his heart. After seeing that his helpers could easily defeat Mr. 5 and Ms. Valentine, and handed Princess Vivi into the hands of these friendly pirates, maybe Luffy could defeat Crocodile, as Tianmu said. I can help you. A young man with dark hair and a round head walked out of the shadows, abruptly interrupting the sensual conversation between the monarch and his ministers. How did you escape? This young man was a young man who floated to Whiskey Island in a small boat before the Straw Hat crew came. Seeing that this young man was not offered a bounty by Marine, Ikaram thought he was a stupid young man who had just entered the Grand Line, so he got him drunk and locked him up. Got up. You can't hold me in that little place. I just sobered up. With your boat, can you break through this blockade? The mysterious man who suddenly appeared pointed to the coast, and a ship under the banner of Baroque Studio was seen rushing forward with searchlights in the night. At least a dozen lights appeared on the sea. Eren Yeager, you really have a way. Ikaram revealed the name of the person. As a minister of a country, he still has some insight. Even if he were to die in such a strong siege on the sea, he would never be able to break through this blockade. Zoro looked at the ship with the lights getting closer and closer. With his current strength, he could only engage in a boarding battle. He couldn't split a ship with one sword. With his current strength, he couldn't do it. Sanji, the ship's cook, like Zoro, is better at close combat. He usually challenges the opposing cadres in a one-on-one fight and does not have the means to attack from a distance. As the only sniper on the Straw Hat ship, Usopp has limited long-range attack damage. Nami's weather stick has not yet been developed. Captain Luffy can pose a threat to the enemy's hull, but as long as he accidentally falls into the sea, Other crew members will need to fish out the demon. Fruit power. I'm not helping you for free. After this is done, I'm going to take your pirate ship to a certain place. The other party didn't make any unreasonable demands. Nami directly bypassed Captain Luffy and agreed directly. As long as he didn't pay for it and didn't spend Bailey, it was acceptable to give the other party a smooth sailing. Luffy looked Alan up and down with his small eyes. From the other person's cold eyes, he could feel this strange young man's disregard for life, which gave him the impression that this young man was not a good person. We can handle it ourselves, don't you think, Zoro-Sanji? I listen to the captain and we will do whatever he wants us to do. I'm just a ship's cook, I have no other opinion. Shut up, you three. Seeing the three men in the team making stinky faces, Nami-chan waved her pink fists, punching one after another, leaving a big bump on the foreheads of the three stinky men. She wanted to hit armament hockey with her fist that was not covered. Wake up these three mindless idiots. After a few more punches, Nami came out of her furious state and smiled at Alan. The three of them have no objections. Please ask Mr. Allen to take action. Baroque Studio brought many elite members this time. Originally, there was no need to dispatch so many people to capture the traitors in the organization, but the future revealed in the sky still made Crocodile pay attention to the group of draft hat boys. After the reasoning of 7 warlords of the sea, it is really possible for the Straw Hat crew to meet Princess Vivi, so they will do everything possible and bury the other pirate group and the princess together in Whiskey Peak. Wanting to be the pirate king is not overseas countries. I saw ships in the harbor. That pirate flag is confirmed to be that of the Straw Hat Pirates. The gunner loads the cannonballs and sinks this pirate ship for me. The heralds on the ship signaled to each other, making sure that the attack target was in front of them, and the muzzles of the ship's cannon were pointed at Going Merry. Boom. 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 With several heavy cannon blasts, dozens of cannonballs flew towards the target. Just when he was about to succeed, a young man wearing a straw hat jumped into the air. He crazily inhaled a huge amount of air into his body, and the entire rubber body rapidly expanded and transformed, big and round. The cannonballs that were originally going to fall on the ship all hit this human-shaped flesh ball. This monster ignored the cannonball attack and bounced all the cannonballs fired from the Baroque Studio back. The cannonballs were returned to their original owners and caused damage to some ships. This small injury could not cause the ship to sink. Since the monsters on the other side's ship can block the cannonballs head-on, then attack from multiple directions at the same time, there will always be Straw Hat Boy who can't stop it. Place. Straw Hat Boy, give me a lift and throw me into the sky above the opponent. Alan is standing next to Luffy. If he uses his ability here, it will destroy the boat under his feet. In the previous shelling, the opponent had sunk Ikaram's ship, and those who wanted to escape boarded the Going Merry. I'll help you now, rubber rocket launcher. Luffy stretched his arms back, using the huge inertia to give him powerful force, and sent Alan flying into the sky with one blow. He had no strength left in this move. Ah, you used too much force. Everyone on the boat had no time to blame Luffy. Their eyes stayed on Alan. At this moment, the other person was flying in the sky and came to the position above the ship in Baroque Studio. I really miss this power. Alan adjusted his posture in the air and changed to a standing posture. This time he would not have to harm himself after transforming. A golden lightning flashed in the sky, and blood, flesh, skeleton, and nerves continued to grow from Alan's body. A giant figure suddenly appeared above the ship. The huge body directly smashed down, and the two ships directly below were instantly destroyed. The landing point set off huge waves, and a pointed-eared giant nearly 20 meters tall appeared in everyone's eyes. Giant. Why does the giant appear here? How is it possible for a human to become a giant? Hurry up, he's coming, my god, what kind of monster is this? The ship of Baroque Studio wanted to escape here, but how could the giant let go of its prey? The ship next to it was the first to suffer misfortune. Since it is not yet in the deep sea, Alan's transformed attack titan can stand still. The water only submerges up to his chest. He can walk on the seabed, and his giant-shaped arms have become its best weapons. The cannonball exploded on the giant's body. Although it left a black crater on it and caused some bleeding effects, it did not affect the attacking giant at all. Alan smashed one ship after another with one palm, and dragged one ship into another. These sea ships became his toys alone, with a circle of hull fragments surrounding the giant. Don't come over, get out of here quickly. Witnessing a giant running wildly in the sea, amidst the voices of despair, it was too late to jump off the ship. The ship they relied on for survival was smashed to pieces by a huge fist. When the last Baroque Studio ship was smashed into the sea, This nightmare finally came to an end. In just a few minutes, only the Going Merry ship was left on the sea nearby, and all the enemy ships were sent into the sea by Alan. Eren is so cool, he can actually transform into a giant. Luffy jumped up on the deck. He was born in the small place of East Blue and saw a living giant for the first time. He also wants to become a giant in the future. Fighting with a giant's body is so cool. Attack on Titan walked in the direction of Going Merry. Just now, Alan had his back to the Straw Hat crew. Now, with the help of the moonlight, Nami and others could clearly see the giant's appearance. He has black hair and blue eyes, elf-like pointed ears, 2 rows of teeth exposed, and his whole body is covered with strong muscles. His image has undergone a huge change, and there are vague similarities between the human Alan and the giant. So strong, Princess Vivi and Ikaram made the same sigh. Maybe this giant can also defeat Crocodile. The giant race is a very rare existence on the sea. The destructive power of a single giant is quite powerful. However, the giants from the country of giants will choose to be mercenaries. Every time they participate in a battle, they are a group of giants, and their combat power is much higher than that of a single giant. +1 is greater than 2. That is to say, the shipbuilding technology in the country of giants is not good. Most giants will not choose to go to sea to become pirates and will be recruited by other forces. Marine used deception to get a group of giants, Vice Admiral. Luffy and others had just entered the Grand Line, and it was the first time they saw a giant of this height. He excitedly jumped on the shoulders of the attack titan. It's so cool, I want to become a giant too. He is full of love for giants and will let him develop 3rd gear in the future, but for now he can only use 2nd gear, a life-consuming style of play. Bouncing on those strong muscles, Luffy completely forgot about his vigilant look just now. He is a guy who can transform from a human into a giant. He wants to invite him on the boat. After Alan gets on the boat, the days ahead will be more interesting. So hot, so hot, so hot, hot steam emitted from Attack Titan's body, and Luffy jumped back to Going Merry. The flesh and blood on the Titan's body was quickly evaporating and disappearing. Soon, he saw a skeleton, and Alan's figure appeared in everyone's eyes. Alan jumped out of the giant skull and landed on Luffy's boat. The giant skeleton lost control and fell into the sea, but soon disappeared into the air like flesh and blood. Alan's fluffy hair was completely spread out, and there were a few bloodlines under his eyes extending to his face. This was evidence that he was controlling the giant. His physical strength was almost exhausted. He held on to the railing of Going Merry to prevent himself from falling down. Sanji saw the other person's exhausted expression and quickly took out chairs from the cabin. Alan took the chairs and sat on them, leaning back lazily on the back of the chair to relieve body fatigue. However, everyone gathered around him, staring at Alan with curious expressions, not saying anything or asking questions, which made him quite embarrassed. He gave his own explanation. Zone fruit giant form. This is the devil fruit that I eat, which can temporarily turn me into a giant to fight. However, it takes double the physical strength to deal with the enemy in the sea. Fighting on land I can last a long time. Everyone was quite satisfied after hearing this explanation. There are all kinds of strange devil fruits in the sea. It turns humans into the bodies of giants, which is not too supermodel. I ate Paramecia rubber fruit. You are the 2nd demon fruit power on the ship, but you look so cool when you become a giant. Luffy has completely become Alan's fanboy, and wants him to transform into a giant again for him to see, but the other party refuses his unreasonable request. Each transformation consumes a lot of physical strength. Even if he is a zone demon fruit power, physical strength is not unlimited either. Now that they have defeated their opponent, the Straw Hat crew is heading to the next island. With Ikaram's pointer, the 2nd island on the Grand Line they are heading to has a nice name, Little Garden. Most of the people were resting in the cabin, and the Straw Hat crew took turns controlling the ship, sailing in the sea following the direction of the needle. This process was relatively peaceful and no more pursuers were encountered. Beside the coast of Whiskey Peak, the rolling waves will give you some gifts. Sometimes it is fragments of ships, sometimes it is some human corpses. This time, the Baroque studio was seriously injured, and more than a dozen ships were destroyed. A large number of low-level elite personnel were lost. I'm late. The naval battle is over. A beautiful black-skinned woman was sitting on a turtle boat, holding a phone bug in her hand, reporting the results of the battle to her boss. All members of the Baroque studio were killed at this station. Fortunately, the 2 cadres Mr. 5 and Ms. Valentine were not on the boat. They were killed. Defeat, knockout and survive on the island. Are you sure it was the Straw Hat crew? The man on the other end of the phone smokes a cigar and has a golden hook in one hand. This is Crocodile. the boss behind Baroque Studio and a current member of 7 Warlords of the Sea. According to the description of the bounty hunter on the island, a young giant fell from the sky and destroyed all the ships by himself. Nico Robin was still working at the Baroque Studio at this time, and she was actively used by Crocodile for the historical text in Alabasta. Mr. 3 is waiting for them in Little Garden. Please help him get rid of the Straw Hat crew. These little pirates are not worthy of my action. Crocodile didn't believe what Tianmu said. It was ridiculous that a fledgling pirate could defeat him just after entering the Grand Line. How could a guy who didn't know hockey defeat him with Logia demon fruit power? Okay, I'll go there now. Robin hung up the phone, picked up Mr. 5 and Ms. Valentine, and headed to Little Garden to pursue the Straw Hat Pirates. Since there was no interference from Robin, the Straw Hat crew entered the island range of Little Garden. However, the name made the crew quite strange. Seeing that the island was quite huge, why would they give it the name Little Garden? Ikaram on the boat explained to everyone. Because there are 2 giants on this island who have been fighting here for more than 100 years. Their huge heights set off this island, just like a little garden. Cool, there are giants here. I want to go to the island to see them. Luffy jumped from Going Merry to the island, and Sanji's cry came from behind. I'm back after hunting some prey. There's not enough meat on the boat. Copy that, Mr. Chef, Luffy said and disappeared into the jungle and disappeared from everyone's sight. What a reckless captain. Usopp did not intend to leave the ship. He had just seen the monster on the island. There was actually a big tiger on the island. It would be scary to think about it if he met him. I'm going too. Everyone on the boat will be ruined. Zoro jumped off the boat with his 3 knives. Green Algae Head, do you want to compete to see who caught the bigger animal? Regarding Sanji's proposal for a competition, Zoro agreed without thinking. He considered himself the second in command on the ship and would not let the third in command surpass him. In Upushus, Zoro and Sanji disappeared into the jungle together. Watching the ship lose 3 main combat forces at once, the crew members who were left watching the ship were speechless. Fortunately, Alan did not get off the ship. These 3 guys don't have to think about anything they do. Nami stood on the deck, looking at the beautiful scenery of Little Garden. With Mr. Allen here, no one dares to touch Going Merry. Usopp approached Alan's position. This powerful man gave him unlimited confidence. If something happened, this tall man would be there to take care of him. Dragon. Why is there a Tyrannosaurus Rex here? Princess Vivi exclaimed, attracting everyone's attention. A huge Tyrannosaurus Rex rushed towards Going Merry. It looked like it was hungry. Why is there a dinosaur here? It's coming. Usopp tremblingly took out his slingshot, trying to protect Going Merry from being destroyed. This may be a prehistoric island. Due to the unpredictable weather of the Grand Line, communication between islands is extremely inconvenient. Some islands have rapidly developed civilization and technology, while some backward islands have maintained their original ecology. There is no communication between the two, otherwise it would be so. The devil fruit, an ancient species of zone, will never appear in this world. Ikaram stretched out his gun from the gap in his curls and fired at the charging Tyrannosaurus Rex. Bang, bang, bang. In effect, it can be said that there is smoke but no damage. The Tyrannosaurus Rex suffered a small injury, but it angered the beast even more, and he wanted to eat the living creatures above. Just when Alan was about to take action, a huge figure appeared from behind the Tyrannosaurus Rex. A real giant chopped down the huge tomahawk in his hand. The hunter and the prey quickly switched, and the Tyrannosaurus Rex was split into 2 parts. This giant with a helmet and a blonde beard dragged the body of the Tyrannosaurus Rex to the Going Merry boat. He bent down and looked at the people on the boat. The giant face was bigger than a human being. You have alcohol on the boat. Nami and Usopp quickly agreed to the giant's request and handed all the drinks on the ship to the giant. The giant was very happy with the drinks and invited everyone to eat grilled dinosaur meat. During this period, he introduced himself to the Straw Hat crew. He was Buggy, the strongest warrior of the giant kingdom Elbaf, who had been staying on this little garden island for hundreds of years. The Straw Hat crew's wine barrel was in the giant's hand. It was no bigger than the opponent's finger. It was caught between Buggy's fingers. Everyone accepted the giant's invitation and went to where he lived to eat dinosaur meat. At this time, the volcano in Little Garden suddenly erupted, and Buggy and another giant Dory met for a duel. The 2 giants each took up their weapons and fought together directly on the island, completely ignoring the other people around them. The fight lasted for more than 10 minutes without a winner. In the end, the battle ended with the shields slamming into each other's faces. The 2 giants fell to the ground at the same time and laughed. 100 years have passed since a battle of this level. The 73,406th duel ended in a draw again. Buggy threw a few wine barrels to the opponent, and the giant Dory caught these little things. He had not drank for a long time and wanted to have a drink. Luffy found the Dory giant alone, and the two of them were going to enjoy the wine. The prey competition between Sanji and Zoro also had no winner. The two of them walked deeper into the little garden, looking for larger and heavier prey. When the two parties enjoy good food and wine, there are always some spoilers to spoil their fun, namely the haunting members of the Baroque studio. Because Mr. 5 had just been sent to the island by Robin, Mr. 3's original plan of adding a bomb to the drink failed to come true. However, the third brother was confident in himself and could defeat the newly debuted pirate without any plot. The third brother is the future deputy of the Emperor. This time he wants to eat a lot of fat in one go. Not only does he have to kill the Straw Hat crew and Princess Vivi in the Little Garden, but he also has to win the bounty of the two giants. 100 years ago they were wanted and were worth a bounty of 100 million, so they could make extra money for themselves while serving their boss. There are 3 of us, let's just suffer death today. Mr. 3 faces the Straw Hat crew who have lost the 3 most powerful players. As Paramecia Wax Fruit, he can defeat them in an instant as long as he is serious. There is also his partner Ms. Golden Week beside him. Although this little girl is not demon fruit power, she can use different colors of paint to give negative buffs to enemies. Baroque is the partner of the leader Mr. Zero. Nico Robin looked at everyone with curiosity. She noticed that there was a black-haired young man among the group. This was someone who had not appeared in the agency's intelligence. These people are your enemies. Buggy really hates people interrupting his banquet. He was already drinking well and even the dinosaur meat was almost roasted. What a spoiler. This group of people from Baroque Studio chased us all the way. A group of bounty hunters are working for pirates. It's really laughable to tell you that. Nami doesn't pretend anymore. Now that he knows that the other party's boss is the 7 warlords of the sea, if he doesn't eradicate them completely, he will be remembered by them for the rest of his life.
Bounty hunter, I, a pirate, will help you deal with them, and then we can drink together.
Buggy, a giant of nearly 20 meters, stood up and picked up his giant axe weapon. He wanted to kill the ungrateful group of guys in front of him. Seeing the giant striding over, Mr. 3's hair burst into flames, and his 2 arms turned into a ball of white wax. As a demon fruit power, he was not afraid of any giants. Candle shackles. The wax liquid was controlled by Mr. 3 and flowed to Buggy's legs. The white wax liquid instantly solidified into a block and fixed the giant's feet, allowing the running giant to smash directly in front of him. It's not over yet. Slime carving, giant sword.
Mr. 3 splashed the wax liquid into the air, and it instantly condensed into a white candle giant sword. The giant sword stabbed the limbs of the giant Buggy, locking the giant in place. Blood flowed out from his injured position, dyeing the opponent's wax liquid red.
The giant has been dealt with, it's your turn. Usopp took the opportunity to make a sneak attack and fired a few rounds of ammunition with his slingshot, but they were blocked by the opponent's candle wall and had no effect at all. You know this little trick, so there's no need for Master Robin to take action. Mr. 3's whole body was filled with liquid wax and he was walking towards the crowd. He wanted to make these people into candle statues, among which Princess Vivi was a work of art. At this time, Alan has become the hope of the whole village. The only remaining weakling stood up when he saw him. Everyone stepped back to make room for him. The giant just now was defeated. Will the appearance of another giant turn the tide of the battle? A boy whose hair has not yet fully grown, put your hopes on him, and let me use my candle waterfall. A huge amount of wax liquid was produced from Mr. 3's body, forming a terrifying sea of a wax liquid 2 meters high. It would completely submerge the overconfident black-haired young man in front of him. No matter how powerful the opponent's physical skills were, as long as he was touched by the wax liquid, he would be destroyed. Unable to move. Everyone witnessed with their own eyes that Alan was covered in wax liquid. Where he originally stood, his appearance could not be seen, but was replaced by a piece of white wax liquid. A bolt of golden lightning struck from the sky, and the originally solidified wax liquid was melted by the steam inside. Flesh, bones, and nerves were quickly combined in everyone's eyes. A young giant 20 meters tall appeared in everyone's eyes. A human turned into a 20-meter tall giant. Mr. 3 was shocked and opened his mouth wide. The other person was able to break free of the solidified wax. Are you demon fruit power too? The appearance of the pointed-eared young giant confirmed the intelligence received by Robin. The Baroque Studio's ship was destroyed by a giant. This ability to transform into a giant at any time is very effective in sudden attacks. the members of the club are not prepared and can easily succeed. The giant Buggy's eyes were not covered by the wax liquid. He witnessed the whole process of Alan's transformation with his own eyes. To be honest, if he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he would never believe that a human could become a giant. What's more, this young giant is not wearing any clothes. Fortunately, there are no masculine features under his 8-pack abs, otherwise it would really embarrass the women present. Being seen as a giant without clothes really discredits the entire giant race. Buggy doesn't want to be considered by other races as an uncivilized primitive creature. Although Alan is embarrassed by humans, it is the giant race that loses face. After that, I want to talk to this young human being. Mr. 3 defeated a giant. How can he be afraid of another giant? So what if I become a giant? Slime carving, giant sword. The wax liquid splashed in the air solidified into white giant swords. These white creations were as hard as iron. They were shot in the direction of the attacking giants. Even giants were mortal bodies. They would bleed and be injured. The white giant sword flew towards him. Alan retracted his arms in front of his chest in a boxing attack posture. The giant's big fist hardened and shattered the enemy's giant face creation with one punch. The hardening was harder than steel. How is this possible? What is that wrapped in your hand? Mr. 3 saw the giant's hands turn white, and the flesh and blood body became extremely hard. This was not the color of armament hockey. What ability could make the body so hard? The young giant didn't give him a chance to breathe. He opened his legs and ran in the direction of Mr. 3. During this period, the opponent used liquid wax to block him, but as a result, the giant's whole body was emitting high-temperature vapor, which caused the wax to fail to solidify instantly and turned into a white color. The sludge became the embellishment on the other party's body. A extra-large serving candle walla, a solid wall composed of white wax liquid, instantly raised the 6 paths wall in front of Mr. 3, trying to offset the giant's impact on him one by one, giving him time to prepare his ultimate move. Attack on Titan recreates the famous scene of Guy's Titan. His whole body is covered in white hardening, and he crashes into the solidified wax wall in front of him without slowing down at all and with huge inertia. Boom. 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 The walls of 6 paths were completely unable to stop attack on Titan. Every time he passed through a wall, it left traces of broken parts. Blocks of solidified wax were sent flying by him. Mr. 3's strongest defensive move became Eren's background plate. When Alan came to Mr. 3, the opponent had already used his final trick, the Candle Champion Cup, and his whole body except his head was wrapped in solid wax, turning him into a 4-meter-tall little giant. But in front of a 20-meter-tall giant, the opponent was still a dwarf. Seeing the giant's sarcastic grin, Mr. 3 was very angry. He punched the giant's legs with his candle-wrapped fists, Champion's Fist, Plowing Fist. The legs of Attack Titan were hardened, and he just stood there and let the little man punch him. The furious Mr. 3's fists fell on him like raindrops. After working hard for a long time, no damage was caused, and some wax liquid flowed out on the legs. Regarding his little thought, Alan emitted hot steam from his whole body and evaporated the wax on the giant's body. As long as the wax did not solidify, it would not threaten him. Mr. 3 lost his most important means of attack. Master Robin, please save me. I saw the giant's slap coming over, and it was also covered with a layer of white substance, which was harder than the primary armament hockey. If I was touched, I would have to lie down for at least a month. A white arm instantly appeared behind Mr. 3's head. He melted his candle armor and was easily pulled out by the suddenly generated arm. A bunch of arms were generated on the ground, relaying the man to the back. Mr. 3's Champion's Cup armor was instantly shattered into pieces by Attack Titan's slap. If he had stayed here just now, these would have been more than just wax blocks. What a terrifying power. Why does he have so many abilities? Mr. 3 was lying at Robin's feet, panting heavily. He was almost dead just now. He had never encountered such a terrifying opponent since he went on the mission. The steam and hardening completely restrained his fruit ability. Robin looked at the giant in front of him with curious eyes. It was understandable that the giant ate the Renren fruit and turned into a giant form. The high heat steam emitted from the whole body and the hardening that covered the whole body at will were also caused by the devil fruit ability? Could it be that the other party is not an ordinary zone fruit, but a more special species of phantom beast? Ms. Goldenweek was painting on the giant body. The little girl's ability worked on the simple guy Luffy, but if it were replaced by Alan, who was more serious-minded, no matter what color he applied, it would have no effect. There's nothing I can do about Master Robin. His spirit and will are so terrifying that I can't hypnosis. Ms. Goldenweek had a grievance on her face and pouted her mouth. The girl had encountered people with powerful mental abilities before. Her hypnosis ability had a slight effect, but this was the first time she encountered this monster in front of her. Attack on Titan, who yearns for freedom, will not be controlled by anyone. Nami, are you okay? Luffy rushed over from the depths of the jungle, carrying a man and woman on his shoulders, Mr. 5 and Ms. Valentine. An explosive man and a kilogram woman came to Luffy again. The 2-on-1 fight didn't last long when they were touched by the rubber man at close range. The two guys, who were not resistant to beatings, just lay down. There was a huge difference in physique. There was also a dory giant behind him. Zoro carried his prey and followed the giant to prevent getting lost. Sanji touched Mr. 3's House of Wax alone, defeated the unlucky duo who came for reinforcements, and grabbed the permanent ticket to Alabasta. Pointer. With so many people to face at the same time, and two of Baroque Studios' cadres being captured, it was by no means the smartest way to fight the Straw Hat crew again. Failure in this battle was not a crime of war. No chance. Let's go. Robin gave the order to retreat. Regardless of the reactions of others, she turned around and left alone. What to do with the cadres the other party has? Faced with the questioning from Mr. 3, this beautiful woman did not respond. Seeing that she had completely given up on her approach, the two cadres, Mr. 5 and Ms. Valentine. We have been working together for so long, and Mr. 3 did not choose to abandon his companions. The third brother of the Emperor's deputy in the original timeline wanted to use his fruit power to make a last-ditch effort. He was covered in swimming wax liquid and rushed to Luffy's position. He wanted to capture a prisoner and turn the tide of the battle. And his partner, Ms. Goldenweek, quietly followed Robin and ran away early. What do pirates love to do the most? Of course, Thoria as a party. Nothing is more important than having a party. Defeated the enemy and held a party to celebrate. The three cadres of the Baroque studio were taken captive and soaked in a barrel filled with seawater. The future third brother of the Emperor's deputy was beaten with blood all over his head and he would not wake up for a while. Princess Vivi wants the Straw Hat crew to go to Alabasta as soon as possible to thwart the 7 warlords of the sea's conspiracy to steal the country. She is thinking about her father. Tens of thousands of rebels are approaching the capital, and she is not in the mood to eat and drink with everyone in the little garden. Luffy suffered a lot of bombs from Mr. 5, a booger man, and was pressed by Ms. Valentine with a huge force. His body was injured a lot from the inside out, and he needed to eat a lot of food, firstly to regain his strength, and secondly, to recover from his injuries. There are a large number of powerful people in the pirate world who all have this special physique. Firstly, they can eat and drink very well. Secondly, they will recover from injuries quickly after eating. None of them can be described by common sense. In short, being able to eat means fighting power. Your country is no different. Everyone is too tired today and it is impossible to sail overnight. Nami stood up at this time and objected to Princess Vivi's proposal to set off immediately. She is not the one who controls the ship. The situation on the Grand Line is unpredictable. Miss Navigator has to work hard every day. She is not ironclad. As a little girl, you need to rest. Princess Vivi wanted to continue speaking, but was stopped by her minister Ikaram. Your Highness, I believe that the Kingdom Guard will not be that fragile, not less than this night. Buddha A. Before the princess could finish speaking, Ikaram pulled his princess into a deserted corner. He did not want to offend the Straw Hat crew at this time. These groups seem to be good people on the surface, but the pirates' evil identities where it cannot be washed away. Once you are a pirate, you will always be a pirate. Everyone in Little Garden did not fall into Mr. 3's conspiracy. Zoro, Nami and Princess Vivi were not made into wax figures. Princess Vivi and the Straw Hat crew did not experience the test of life and death, and their friendship and bond were broken. With the existence of Eren Yeager, the Deus Ex Machina, helping the Straw Hat crew defeat the third brother, Princess Vivi hired this group of pirates to save the country in her heart. As for wanting to become their partner, that was absolutely unacceptable. It's possible. It's inappropriate to leave the princess of a world government member country alone and run out to become a pirate. What does she want? Sanji, I'm hungry, I'm so hungry. Luffy came to his royal chef, rolling on the ground, using this childish method to urge the chef to cook faster. Sanji held a cigarette in his mouth, his eyes filled with pent-up anger, and punched his captain, telling him to stop for a while and stop wandering around in front of him. Preparing food for everyone on the ship is already a hard job, but now with the addition of two giants nearly 20 meters tall, the appetite cannot be reduced at first sight. As a chef, he cannot mess with the ingredients. At least it is better than roasting dinosaur meat. It's delicious, it doesn't have any other taste without salt. This time he was going to make an authentic roasted whole dragon. A whole Tyrannosaurus Rex was framed by a thick tree. Dory and Buggy helped the cook control the heat. Sanji kept sprinkling spices on the dragon meat and occasionally adding some spices to the meat. Cut the thick part with a knife. It smells delicious. I haven't smelled such a good smell in a long time. Let's take out our inventory today and let these little guys have fun. The inventory the two giants talked about was wine brewed from various fruits when they landed on the island, and they agreed to open and taste the wine after one side wins. But more than 100 years have passed. If Luffy and his friends hadn't come to Little Garden, the fruit wine would still be buried underground for who knows how long. Buggy took out a 100-year-old bottle of wine to thank the Straw Hat crew for saving his life. His life was almost handed over to Marine. These external possessions were not so important. After all, he only had one life. Alan turned into a giant and acted as a porter again. Last time he was moving stones to block the damaged city gate. This time he was moving a not too small wine barrel. It was a huge barrel 10 meters wide and 10 meters high. It was very big. In line with the behavior of the giants. Attack on Titan is still the same as before without a bird on its crotch. Dory Giant shook his head when he saw it. It really made Buggy see who was right. This kid's devil fruit ability has seriously damaged the image of the giant family. The roasted whole dragon is ready, and the century-old wine is also ready, so what are you waiting for? The banquet is going to be held right now. Luffy. Cheers. Alan. Cheers. Zoro. Cheers. Nami. Cheers. Sanji. Cheers. Usopp. Cheers. The wine glasses in the hands of the two giants were comparable to the size of Going Merry. Together with everyone. Cheers. Princess Vivi and Ikaram joined in to share the joy of victory. Cheers. After everyone had finished their first glass of wine, Sanji took the initiative to cut dinosaur meat for everyone. His cooking skills were not to mention. Captain Luffy was holding a whole T-Rex hind leg and gnawing it into his stomach. It was very satisfying. Soon the rubber man's belly was stretched out and became round and big. As a gentleman, Sanji took the initiative to cut some small pieces of breast meat for the two ladies, which is the most delicious part of the Tyrannosaurus Rex. As for the other stinky men, they hastily cut some meat with bones so that they can gnaw the bones. A Sanji-ass dinosaur meat is good. I never thought dinosaur meat could be so delicious. Hearing the compliments from Nami-chan and Vivi-chan, Sanji swayed in place, his eyes flashing with love, and he wanted to pounce on them immediately. While Sanji was courting the beautiful woman, Zoro was gnawing on the bones and glanced at Alan. He saw him sitting alone in the corner drinking silently. His special melancholy temperament made him couldn't help but move forward to chat. Said, "Ellen, you never said, which island are you going to?" Upon hearing this question, everyone except Luffy and the giant immediately closed their mouths and listened with their ears pricked up. After drinking all the liquid in the wine glass, Alan answered Zoro's question. "I'm going to Drum Island. I heard there are many famous doctors there. I want to go to this place to see a doctor." "See a doctor?" Alan looks rosy and can turn into a giant at any time to fight. Will he get sick? Will such a powerful guy be troubled by illness? The Straw Hat crew definitely doesn't know about Drum Island. Princess Vivi has a bad memory. As the minister of the kingdom, Ikaram knows some things about Drum Island. After all, the other party also belongs to the world government member country. "Alan, I want to tell you some bad news. Drum Island has changed. The Tyrant King has expelled most of the doctors. There will be no results if you go to Drum Island again." After that, Ikaram described the location of Drum Island, which is only a few days away from Little Garden and on the same route as Alabasta. "It's okay. Just drop me off after passing by the Drum Island. I have my own way to find a doctor." Alan insisted on going, but no one tried to persuade him, and the drinking atmosphere suddenly cooled down. On the island of Little Garden, the Straw Hat crew held a banquet with the two giants all night long. Everyone ate and drank a lot of food and drinks. It was not until noon the next day that everyone woke up one after another. But our navigator and chef actually fell ill at the same time. They suddenly had high fevers that wouldn't go away. There was no doctor on board and they didn't understand the disease. I got sick just after entering the Grand Line. I was lucky. The symptoms that broke out immediately were not hidden in the body, allowing Straw Hat crew to seek medical treatment quickly. Princess Vivi took care of the two people in the cabin, wiping their bodies with hot towels, but this could not cool down the other person, and both the man and the woman were mentally burned and confused. As for the stupid method Luffy thought of, trying to bring the crew's illness to himself, It was completely impossible to achieve. Zoro and Alan stopped him from letting this brainless captain mess around. It's worth it for me, Sanji, to die here if I can be taken care of by Her Highness the Princess. Although he was seriously ill and was weak, he could get close contact with Princess Vivi, and a woman wiped a man's body. He had never enjoyed this kind of love. I don't want to die yet, so go ahead and die. Nami was soft all over but her mouth was still tough. She died on the road just after entering the Grand Line. Her dream had not been realized yet and she absolutely could not die here. Although most of the doctors on Drum Island have been disbanded, King Wapol still has 20 famous doctors around him. As long as he helps, these diseases will be minor problems. As a minister of the kingdom, Ikaram still knows a lot about other countries, but he is not sure in his heart. The king is a formality-minded guy who cannot be described by common sense at all. It is even more difficult to ask him to do things. More difficult. Then let's go to Drum Island now. Luffy looked solemn. He was not joking when it came to his partner's life. He was the one who valued his partner the most. Usopp originally intended to throw the 3 prisoners in the Baroque studio on the ship into the sea and let them fend for themselves. If he let them go easily, he would incur even more violent revenge. Even if Straw Hat Crew takes the initiative to do such dirty things as killing people, they still can't do it. After all, they are portrayed as the hero of a young hot-blooded comic. We can only entrust the 2 giants to take care of it. As for whether the 3 cadres can survive each other's hands, and what happens next, it has nothing to do with the Straw Hat Crew, and they will not admit it if they are not responsible. When Brogy and Dory giants combined to use Hakoku, the Going Merry rushed directly from the mouth of the Sea Kings, and the Straw Hat Crew's trip to Little Garden came to a perfect end. The weapons of the 2 giants were damaged as a result, and they had no reason to continue fighting. They had to find the lost members of the giant pirates and set sail again to the sea to set sail again. Zoro was standing on the deck practicing his sword skills. A white news bird flew over. Seeing that the old man had no money to buy news, it flew to Ikaram again. Give me a copy. He threw 100 Baileys into the newsbird's pocket. The other party happily put the latest newspaper on the boat, spread its wings and flew away to find the next buyer on the sea. No matter how heinous the pirates are, they will not harm Newsbird. If they accidentally offend them, this group will never sell their newspapers again. The Grand Line is unpredictable and the transportation is inconvenient. You can only see the outside world through newspapers and become familiar with what is happening outside. If you lose this only way, you can spend your whole life as a primitive on a small island or at sea. Morgan's news headlines are as sensational as ever. In short, these headlines are very eye-catching, making readers unable to help but read the entire news. The evil pirate, the man who increased his bounty fastest. The 5th Emperor of the Future at sea. Buggy the Clown disappears in East Blue, brewing a huge conspiracy. Artoria joins Marine, the future Marine Admiral. Red-haired Shanks comes into contact with the Whitebeard Pirates. Marine is also quite impressive this time. The original bounty for Buggy the Clown was only 15 million Baileys, but this time it has jumped to 3 billion Baileys, a direct increase of 200 times. This has never been seen on the sea. Characters. Marine and world government also negotiated over this matter, not because the amount of the wanted order was too high, but because the bounty was too low. They believed that 3 billion Belly completely underestimated the strength of Buggy the Clown. The main person who has an opinion on the low bounty is Akainu Admiral himself, who fought against Buggy the Clown. In his fight against other big pirates, there is no doubt about the destructive power of lava fruit. However, Buggy the Clown's ability to disintegrate outside of his body caused Sakazuki's magma to be torn apart without even touching his body, causing no harm. In the battle with the enemy, Sakazuki used many methods. Only a small part of the time he was able to burn the opponent with magma, and most of them were resolved by the opponent's devil fruit ability. That Conqueror's entanglement technique still gives Sakazuki a headache. If he hadn't been constantly training his body, he wouldn't have been able to withstand a few hits from the opponent. The injury for injury tactic that he originally focused on was ineffective in front of Buggy the Clown. The only thing Akainu Admiral can do against Buggy the Clown is that he has plenty of physical strength and can drag the fight between the two sides into a protracted battle, so that Sakazuki has a chance of winning. It can be said that Buggy the Clown has become the nemesis of Akainu Admiral. A single admiral cannot defeat the opponent in a short time. With such a terrifying guy appearing on the sea, the bounty of 3 billion Belly is really too small. It seriously underestimates the strength of the opponent. This is not about Marine Admiral letting others have ambitions and extinguishing his own prestige. Sakazuki pursues truth from facts. He will not be a person who whitewashes peace. He wants to put some pressure on Marine internally and can no longer let pirates wreak havoc on the sea. Sakazuki's request for a large conscription was finally rejected by Marshal Sengoku. Now that Marine is not weak enough, the Admiral and the Marshal have serious differences here. However, Artoria gave Sakazuki some surprises. After this female swordsman wore justice, she was close to Sakazuki in terms of the concept of justice. Although not as extreme as him, the two had similar attitudes towards pirates to eliminate evil and keep them out. Individuals can be said to be like-minded. Marine has been searching for traces of Buggy the Clown in East Blue, but he seems to have disappeared out of thin air, and there are no clues at all. However, Marine did not relax his vigilance. He reduced his troops to defend several important locations in East Blue. He did not think that Buggy the Clown died in the Logue Town incident, and predicted that he was still brewing a conspiracy behind the scenes. It is the most embarrassing thing for such an old scumbag to hide. A headache for everyone. In the world government member country located in East Blue, most kings have evacuated East Blue with their queens and children. This is also due to the influence of the clown Buggy. As long as he does not die for one day, the nobles of East Blue will not sleep well every day. Affected by Buggy the Clown, the most unlucky person is not the man in the small countries like East Blue who is most affected. He is a crew member of the former Pirate King. Marine paid a heavy price to capture him. The Paramecia fusion fruit demonic power user is now being captured. Bullet is imprisoned on the 6th floor of the undersea prison. In this Impel Down where it is absolutely impossible to escape, only Golden Lion Shaki broke off his legs and left. Apart from this lion fruit user, he can still be said to be impregnable against all pirates who entered here. You can't escape even if you have wings. Originally, the guards of Impel Down thought they had done a good job, but the information revealed on the sky screen showed that they would seriously neglect their duties in the future. Not only did Buggy the Clown come into contact with Bullet, but they also allowed him to escape, which indirectly caused the subsequent iron-blooded war. The battle resulted in the entire Marine army being annihilated. The world government sent 2 CP-0s to the 6th floor of Impel Down prison. These 2 torture masters, plus Shiryu of the Rain, wanted to get the purpose of Buggy the Clown from Bullet's mouth. What a man with a strong will, yet you don't even say anything even if you are like this. I'm becoming more and more interested in the secrets you hide. The unlucky Bullet had his hand and hamstrings broken by Shiryu of the Rain. He kept leaving wounds on his strong body and tortured him to make him reveal the secret. But in front of this soldier with this little pain on his body, he didn't even say a word about pain. Every time he answered, he said he didn't know 3 words, which made the 3 torturers feel slighted and intensified the physical torture on him. Buggy the Clown has an inextricable relationship with Bullet. The latter is also dishonest in the special process prison. While others are living lifelessly in prison, this guy is exercising every day in the prison. Before the light curtain appears, it seems that knowing that one day he would successfully escape from prison, this abnormal behavior aroused more suspicion. The inmates on the 6th floor were also unlucky. More chains were reinforced on their bodies, including high-concentration seastone chains, to prevent this group of extremely evil ability users from escaping. Demon fruit power, which was already weak, became even more unbearable. These vicious pirates on the sea took their revenge on the clown Buggy. Rain Shiryu received the latest order from the world government, which requires him to guard Impel Down the 6th floor of the prison every day to prevent Buggy the Clown from sneaking in and to prevent him from meeting Bullet immediately. Magellan, the master of Impel Down and the highest official here, cannot leave. He has the poisonous Paramecia fruit and has to go to the toilet 10 hours a day. He can only leave this important task to Shiryu of the Rain. Even if the other party has a history of abusing prisoners, a dead pirate is a good pirate, which is better than them reappearing at sea. At the same time, the second master was promoted to the same level as Haniabal. Shiryu of the Rain readily accepted this order brought by CP0. Being able to kill powerful pirates on the 6th floor was when he enjoyed it the most. Dealing with the small pirates on the 5 floors above no longer gave him much pleasure. This kind of die-hard guy, why not kill him? To deal with a guy like Bullet, you can't do it hard or softly. It's better to give him a knife and use it as a sacrifice, and send him to meet the former Pirate King. However, the world government has different opinions. CP0 has the first task of ensuring that Bullet cannot die. The greedy 5 elders are also interested in the secrets that the clown Buggy wants to get from him. What kind of secret is it that allows a strong man like Buggy the Clown to pretend to be a grandson in front of Marine, and also sneak into Impel Down to find Bullet? If it can be known in advance, it will definitely be beneficial to the rule of world government. That magical light curtain not only reaches into the sky but also goes deep into the sea. The mermaid people of the Mermaid Kingdom can watch it without floating to the sea. The same is true for the underwater prison. The light curtain penetrates the thick wall of Impel Down, allowing the jailers and prisoners to watch together. The latter have no right to read newspapers and do not know external information, but with the existence of the light curtain, the originally dead heart is completely activated. Another powerful pirate appears on the sea, causing headaches for marine and world government. The pirates in prison will just keep cheering. As long as the first two are defeated, they will be very happy. With their personal freedom restricted, the pirates on the light screen information is the only diversion in a dark life. The prisoners can also chat freely on the light screen, make jokes and say dirty words, and can contact the outside world. However, most of these criminals are alone. Even if someone outside wants to save them, it will be difficult to save them. There have been changes, we can't chat anymore. There is a new picture, it is an island in winter. You damn pirates, stop arguing and be more honest with me. Facing the noisy prisoners, the jailers were not stingy with their whips and used them on these criminals one after another to make these heinous guys calm down. Based on the last experience, these prisoners are the most honest when watching the light curtain. No matter how beaten or scolded, they will not move. This is all in order to watch the future information on the light curtain in time. Even if they cannot get out, they will not move. The future is full of hope. CP0 and Shiryu of Rain stopped torturing Bullet and also looked at the light curtain deep into the 6th level. The latter had been in prison for so many years and basically knew nothing about the islands on the Grand Line. But as the most elite agent of the world government, CP0 can recognize the islands on the light screen at a glance. This climate that stays in winter all year round is the best evidence. Toaida S. the Drum Island in the first half of the Grand Linea. What secrets can there be in such a small kingdom? Drum Island was relatively famous in the past few years. Originally, outsiders went there for medical treatment. However, since King Wapol expelled a large number of doctors, this country has become unpopular. If Wapol hadn't paid the same amount of heavenly gold every year, the world government would have kicked him out of the franchise country long ago. This kind of short-sighted king has simply lowered the standard of the franchise country. CP0 also got some information. King Wapol formed a group of white iron pirates. A good king should not be a pirate. He can't even do the most basic tax collection work. The governance level of this country is adequate. The picture reappeared on the light screen and spread all over the world. The last time it led to a vicious pirate on the sea, a being with a bounty of 3 billion Baileys. The second review received even more attention from many parties. The unpredictable future has become a known existence. Marine, pirates, and world government cannot refuse this temptation. They cannot miss any of the above information, and each one must be strictly analyzed and recorded, on file. I wonder what kind of existence this guy known as the God of Zone is on the sea. The place on the light screen is really Drum Island. The suspicious voices of the Straw Hat crew made Ikaram very unhappy. These people questioned his professionalism. As the chief minister of Alabasta, he still had this knowledge. But most of the residents on this island are ordinary residents, and the only remaining witch doctor, the God of Zone, can't relate to them at all. In the subsequent description, Ikaram told everyone about the brutal king of Wapol, who is a user with Paramecia Munch Munch fruit ability, and has a Zone ordinary Munch Munch fruit user under his command. These two people are completely unrelated to the God of Zone. Ikaram also met these two people at the last World Summit. He also helped Princess Vivi recall the memory of Wapol beating her. After hearing this, the Straw Hat crew had an insight. This is a group of scum who rode in the nationalist scum who not only dominates the country but also harms the people. Munch Munch fruit users, there are so many demon fruit powers on this Grand Line. Zoro sighed while waving his sword. When he was a pirate hunter in East Blue, he had never seen so many demon fruit powers. Especially the cadres of Baroque Studio, almost everyone ate a devil fruit. His current level of swordsmanship has not yet reached the level of cutting steel, and it is more than enough to deal with some small pirates. When it comes to opponents at Mr. 3 level, it is more difficult to fight alone. With this strange devil fruit ability, as a swordsman, he realizes his own shortcomings. So after setting off from Whiskey Peak, whenever he had time to spare, he had been honing his physical fitness and practicing his 3-sword style swordsmanship. He didn't want to lose to anyone again, let alone hold back the Captain Luffy. In the first half of the line, few people will use hockey. In the second half of the Grand Line, it is the version of hockey, where swordsmen and those who are good at physical skills can be greatly strengthened. I have decided to recruit a doctor partner on Drum Island so that everyone will not get sick. Luffy sat on the sheep's head and opened his arms. He shouted to the sea in front of him. The pain could not stop him from taking risks. The weather on the Grand Line is really unpredictable. It was a sunny day just now, and when we drove to this sea area, snowflakes fell from the sky, and a biting cold wind blew on the sea. Fortunately, the sea was not frozen, so Going Merry could go normally. Sailing. The closer we get to Magu Island, the lower the temperature at sea becomes. Fortunately, the navigator Nami has the foresight to purchase a batch of winter clothes in Logue Town. Everyone puts on winter clothes to keep themselves as warm as possible. I don't know what Shanks is doing. He beat up his friend Buggy the clown. He won't blame me. Everyone couldn't help but roll their eyes when they heard these words. It was Buggy the clown who was hiding his own clumsiness. He mainly used the Straw Hat crew to enter Impel Down. This big pirate with 3 billion Baileys, you are the only one who has a bounty of 30 million Baileys. Little pirates can make a fortune, but Luffy's bounty is only a fraction of others. The second half of the Grand Line, the Red Hair Pirates left the station of the Whitebeard Pirates. The meeting ended on bad terms. Shanks underestimated Edward Newgate's arrogance. His unfounded confidence as an elder in his younger generation really left the Red Hair speechless. Even if you don't call Ace back and send a strong man to pick him up, you can't even do this request. He said that you need to temper your son and let him experience his own storms, so that he has the chance to grow into a towering tree. Big tree. But if the wind and waves are too strong, Ace, a small tree that has not yet grown tall, is likely to be cut in half by Blackbeard Teach. Shanks has done his best to sit here for the son of the former captain. From now on, it will depend on Ace's own fate. Fortunately, the treasure is placed on Luffy. In the light curtain's telling of the future, this once inconspicuous little guy will gradually become stronger and defeat one opponent after another. He will inherit the will of the previous pirate King Roger, and may really become the next one. One Piece. Just as Shanks was thinking about the future, he heard a report from the crew that a small boat was approaching. It was Mihawk, the world's greatest swordsman. His small boat, which had remained unchanged for 10,000 years, was really not worthy of his 7 warlords, of the sea's identity. The other party did not come to fight with him. Shanks was a swordsman and had a broken hand, so Mihawk lost interest in him. What a rare visitor! A Mihawk boarded the 4 Emperor's ship. The purpose of coming this time was not to give them Luffy's bounty, nor was it to give them Buggy's bounty. Shanks is not worried about the situation of these two people. Luffy has just entered the Grand Line adventure, and his friend Buggy is said in the newspaper that he does not know whether he will live or die. However, the life card does not lie, and this lucky clown is still alive and well. Buggy's life card is damaged. Shanks guesses that he was seriously injured in the Logue Town incident and is still recovering somewhere in East Blue. You want to ask Artoria? Shanks has some connections in the world government. He can go to see the 5 elders at any time. Mihawk can only ask him where Artoria is now. This sudden rise of the female swordsman joined the marine force, which made some pirate forces feel uneasy. Her attack method of destroying islands with one sword, Morgan's, the Birdman, was absolutely right. She was a humanoid ancient weapon. I want to learn about the strength of this female great swordsman. Mihawk has already lifted Artoria to the same great swordsman position as him. He is a male great swordsman and the other is a female great swordsman. The great swordsmen have to decide who is the best swordsman in the world. Shanks took out a phone bug and walked to the cabin to talk to a mysterious person. After chatting for more than 10 minutes, he returned to the crew. Give this good friend a reply. Artoria Admiral candidate has not been deployed. She is currently at Marine Headquarters Marineford. If it takes a few more months, I will not guarantee it. Seeing that Mihawk was about to leave after hearing the news, Shanks quickly stopped him and asked him to stay and watch the light curtain before leaving. By the way, he could attend the banquet on their ship in the strongest swordsman showdown with Artoria. That was all. Time. This great swordsman is full of interest in the future. The light screen may reveal a stronger swordsman. A militant like him must grasp the opponent's information as soon as possible and block the opponent's door to fight with him. Sigu Island Sigufang Castle. There lived a witch doctor who was 139 years old and kept a strange creature that looked like a reindeer with a pink hat on its head. Kaleha Medical Mother, God of Zone. Do we have such a person on Drum Island? The speaker is less than 1 meter tall, standing on 2 feet, with 2 antlers on his head that pierce the pink hat. He has a blue nose, a brown body, and is covered with fine hair. If there were outsiders here at this time, they would definitely jump up in surprise to see a reindeer talking. What kind of monster is this? Kaleha looked at the light curtain outside the window and did not answer the question about her pet. She felt a little uneasy in her heart. Just like the day Cyrulic died, she always felt that something bad would happen. After much attention and anticipation, the light screen finally had a new picture, and the familiar male commentary voice appeared again along with the video data. The last character introduced had a red nose, and this second character happened to be born with a blue nose. A reindeer less than 1 meter tall, wearing a pink hat and an eye-catching blue nose, holding a marshmallow in his hand. A pet image of a reindeer eating a marshmallow. This is an image of Marine's wanted poster, but the reward amount is only 50 belly. Tony Chopper, praised by later generations as a miracle doctor and the god of Zone. Originally, he was a reindeer with a blue nose. His special appearance was not accepted by the tribe, and he mistakenly ate a Zone fruit and took the form of a commoner. A reindeer is given human thinking ability. If an ordinary person eats this fruit, he will only become a landlubber without any abilities. Fortunately, he was eaten by Chopper and started his legendary life. This wanted order was issued by Marine. Tony Chopper was first offered a bounty of 50 bellaries, then a bounty of 100 bellaries, and then the bounty was doubled tenfold to 1,000 bereras. The worrying intelligence capabilities of Marine and world government protected this legendary figure in disguise. This incident was often used as a joke by future generations and told to children. He had many achievements in his splendid life. He served as a doctor on a pirate ship with the Straw Hat crew, and completed a global voyage with his partners. During this period, he exchanged and learned with famous doctors from all over the world, and enriched his medical knowledge by embracing all rivers, from Drum Island departing and returning to Drum Island. After he became a pirate, he took up residence on the Drum Island and became a famous monster doctor on the sea. After treating the patients, he did not charge for consultation fees, and asked those who recovered from severe illness to plant 5 sakura flower trees for him, and asked those who recovered from mild illness to plant 5 sakura flower trees for him. Plant a sakura flower tree for him. Sigu Island, a permanent winter island, has been planted with sakura flower trees all over the mountain due to years of medical practice. Later generations estimate that there are millions of sakura flower trees. Whenever sakura flowers bloom, the beautiful petals will cover the entire Drum Island like an ocean. Tony Chopper, a great doctor who has gone down in history, has influenced future generations with his noble character and magical medical skills. Use the Sakura Forest to praise famous doctors with superb medical skills. His lifelong pursuit of a panacea that can cure any disease, and after decades of hard work, he finally developed it at the last moment of his life. He named it the Blue Panacea. This medicine was called the Blue Panacea by later generations. Divine Grace Potion. The reason why this potion is called Divine Grace is because after taking it, it can not only cure any disease, but also allow the user to obtain personal immortality. All cells in the user's body are permanently activated, and this will be maintained permanently at the moment of drinking. Age does not age. The part just now is a brief summary of his medical achievements, and the next part is about Tony Chopper, his outstanding contribution to Zone Devil Fruit. The picture changes from a reward for a reindeer pet to a reindeer holding a yellow pill in its hooves. This pill is the absolute protagonist of today. Zone Devil Fruit Ordinary Species, Ancient Species, and Fantasy Beast Species. These 3 types can only transform into 3 forms: human form, beast form, and human animal form. This is a problem that plagues all Zone Demon Fruit powers. There are devils in the sea. On this day of fruit, these 3 forms have never been broken. The yellow pill in the picture is called a blue ball by Chopper. As for why he named the yellow pill a pill with a blue name, it may be one of his bad tastes. Blue Wave Ball, a drug that can disrupt the deformation wavelength of Zone Devil Fruit, was developed entirely by Chopper. Taking 1 issue of Blue Wave Ball allows him to have 9 strengthening stages. Various transformation stages strengthen a single aspect of ability, develop Zone Devil Fruit to the maximum extent, and single-handedly raise Zone Devil Fruit, the bottom existence, to the same level as Logia Devil Fruit. The following are the various forms he developed for the common people form of Zone's fruit. Weight strengthening stage. Zone Human form, antlers completely degraded, increased height and muscles, allowing him to gain more strength, more like a giant orangutan covered with hair. In the later stage he can be close to a giant in terms of strength. Wrist strength strengthening stage. Zone Human form, the antlers have not degraded, and the arms will become extremely thick. In this state, use physical techniques such as carving hoofs on the enemy to maximize the effect of physical techniques. Leg strength strengthening stage. Zone Beast form, turning into a reindeer walking on all 4s, more agile in speed, and extremely strong endurance. In this state, the escape ability is fully maximized, and the speed of a short burst is on par with the speed of Marine Kizaru Admiral. Jump enhancement stage. Zone Human animal form, The antlers have not degenerated. The body will become thinner. The long hands and feet have amazing jumping ability. In the later stage, he can leap over a 1,000-meter high rock wall. Brain strengthening stage. Zone is in human animal form, and his appearance remains unchanged. In a short period of time, his brain is strengthened, his intellectual thinking ability becomes stronger, and he can effectively analyze the enemy's weaknesses in battle. Fur strengthening stage. Zone beast form. Shrink the body to a minimum and cover the whole body with fur, turning into a very elastic meatball. The defense power is amazingly improved, and it has a very strong resistance to ordinary physical attacks and blunt weapon strikes. Defensive attribute. Later this move can withstand Sherlock Linley's domineering attack. Antlers enhancement stage. Zone beast form. The reindeer's antlers are greatly enhanced, reaching a length of more than 3 meters. In addition to being used to collide with enemies, he has also developed the ability to burrow into the ground and dig tunnels. Soft strength strengthening stage. In Zone's human-animal form, his body is slightly wider and his limbs are smaller. In this state, his body skills are extremely flexible. He uses stronger physical skills and his body can automatically dodge the enemy's sneak attacks. Monster strengthening stage. Zone beast form, which is Chopper's strongest form. In the early stage, it could only expand to a 10-meter high reindeer monster. In the later Dressrosa event, it transformed into a 100-meter high reindeer monster, and faced the same situation head-on. A 100-meter tall supergiant. Using the most rubbish Zone Devil Fruit, Chopper developed various special abilities. The Zone ability users who later took the Blue Wave Ball got a lot of inspiration from him, allowing the Zone Devil Fruit to develop more strange abilities. He left a wise saying to future generations: "There is no waste Devil Fruit, only waste that cannot be used." The light screen is interspersed with various forms of Chopper, making the Zone Demon Fruit power on the sea cheer for the Zone God from the bottom of his heart. It was a perfect opening for our Zone God Chopper in front of people all over the world. Just like Buggy the Clown, he first summarizes the specific background and then introduces the specific strengths. This method makes people watching the light screen more familiar. Continuously interspersed in the light curtain, Tony Chopper transforms into various forms. This is something that the original Zone Demon Fruit power could never do. The latter can only transform into 3 forms, which is only enviable. The first person exposed by the light screen belonged to the pirate side. Marine Admiral has helped everyone verify the authenticity of the information, which eventually led to the permanent disappearance of Logue Town on the sea, leaving behind the legend of the clown Buggy with 3 billion belly. The second person exposed by this light screen still belongs to the pirate side. Among the big figures who will influence the future world, 2 belong to the pirate force. In the hearts of the vast majority of civilians around the world, this is definitely not good news. Compared to the majority of civilians who hate pirates, a small number of patients don't have that bad impression of Tony Chopper. A doctor is very rare in the world of pirates. The transportation between small islands is not smooth, and there is always a shortage of medical talents. If there is a doctor on an island, then the island must be very wealthy. The aristocratic class above them controls the most medical resources. There is no medical insurance, let alone free medical care. Some civilians have to see doctors at the hands of aristocratic doctors. It is a mild case of having their bones knocked out and their marrow sucked out. In serious cases, they have to work all their lives to pay off debts. Tony Chopper is a monster reindeer who works as a doctor on a pirate ship. Not to mention his future achievements in medicine, everyone speculates that his medical skills are very good now. This is simply the best medical in the world for this reindeer named Chopper. Incurable diseases have troubled people all over the world, and the lack of money has made it even more difficult for them. The civilians who want to live seem to have grasped the route to save their lives. Straw. The first half of the Grand Line is called Drum Island. People suffering from diseases remember this location in their hearts, and one day they will go to find this famous doctor in the world. The bounty issue of the Wanted Order announced on the light screen made Marine and World Conquer make another big joke in front of the whole world. Is this the first time a pirate has offered a bounty of 50 belly? Not enough money to buy a newspaper. Just like Buggy the Clown last time, that terrifying monster had a bounty of 15 million baileys in its early stages. If the light screen hadn't exposed this guy, his bounty wouldn't have doubled 200 times overnight. The mistakes in the 2 wanted orders made people couldn't help but complain. No wonder Marine couldn't suppress the pirates on the sea. It's like there is no such intelligence system. Marine Headquarters Marineford Few, ha ha ha. Garp. The Marine Vice Admiral couldn't help but laugh out loud in front of everyone. As a Marine hero, he would not give face to the world government. He would be happy when he should be happy. Marshal Sengoku sat in front of him with a dark face. The atmosphere in the conference room was extremely tense. He, a good friend, really didn't know how to read the atmosphere. He was not only laughing at the world government, but also slapping Marshal Sengoku in the face. The bounty order on the light screen had a release date. A quick glance showed that it was during Marshal Sengoku's tenure. There was such a flaw in the bounty order. Marine, the intelligence work of one party, cannot escape the blame. Smile. What's so funny? Are you laughing at the entire Marine? Marshal Sengoku suddenly stood up from his chair. His gloomy face was about to drip with tears, which made Luffy's grandfather Garp retract his smile. The grandfather and grandson were worthy of being close, and their emotional intelligence had always been worrying. What does the head of the intelligence department do now? He actually made such a big mistake in the future. This is making fun of the lives of our Marine soldiers. It is a serious dereliction of duty. The furious Marshal Sengoku issued a punishment order. The head of the Marine Intelligence Department dismissed the original class and asked the second in command of the former department to take over. His first task was to reorganize the wanted orders for pirates and the intelligence of the world government. The departments are clearly connected. The issue of the wanted order is related to the face of the two departments. Today's mistake must not happen again. Chief of Staff, he kept taking notes and recorded this Tony Chopper. As the smartest woman in Marine, she had a new idea. Tony Chopper will board a pirate ship in the future. This little reindeer is not bad in nature. First suggest Marine fight for him first. Let's not talk about the divine grace potion. The blue wave ball he developed will be very useful to Marine. There is no shortage of zone demon fruit power in the Marines. With the assistance of Tony Chopper's blue wave ball, the strength of the middle and lower level Marines will be greatly enhanced. What Vice Admiral is more worried about is that after receiving this news, Beast's Pirates, one of the 4 emperors, will definitely join the battle for Tony Chopper. Marine will have to face the pressure of the 4 emperors in the first half of the Grand Line. Once this little reindeer falls into the hands of Kaido, most of the members of the Beast's Pirates are zone demon fruit powers. If they all gain the ability to transform into 9 levels, this terrible future is simply unimaginable. If unfortunately this happens, I don't know how much sacrifice Marine will have to make in the future. Ghost Island Beasts Pirates Station, Tony Chopper, that's great. We all need talents like you. Kaido, the moody master, started crying again in front of everyone. The Beasts Pirates finally waited for the right person. They had been waiting for this day for a long time. Yan Liangjin, whose whole body was wrapped in pitch black, was one of the 3 disasters and was the strongest leader of the Beasts Pirates. He took the initiative to ask Ying in front of Kaido to personally go to Sigu Island to invite the future famous doctor to come to Kaido's Ghost Island as a guest. After eating the blue wave ball, you can develop 9 transformations. This ability made the zone demon fruit power present very excited and eager to get this little yellow pill immediately. Plague Quinn, who is also a member of the 3rd generation, was originally responsible for the technology and medical work of Beasts Pirates. If this newcomer joins, he may be able to develop more new poisons in the future, but he is a nerd and cannot easily do it. We'll leave the island. Master Kaido, the first half of the Grand Line is not within our sphere of influence. Those damn Marines will definitely be one step ahead of us. We must send more people this time to snatch Chopper back from them. Flame embers can fly in the air, but the Ghost Island is far away from the Drum Island. Quinn's statement is the most correct and in line with the future. The Marines are all huddled in the front half of the Grand Line, which is simply their home base. I want to go there in person. If I don't invite this kind of talent in person, it would be disrespectful to him. Kaido holds his own mace in his hand, and the Conqueror's hockey in his body keeps sending out to shock the entire island. This man, known as the strongest creature in the sea, has wanted to become stronger for a long time. Kaido's strength has not improved over the years despite his daily self-defeating exercise of jumping off cliffs. Knowing that there is such a thing as a blue wave ball gives him hope of continuing to become stronger. If he eats the devil fruit, which is the zone fish fruit, and has the form of a green dragon, he will not know what form he will transform into after getting the blue wave ball. In addition to 4 emperors Kaido and Marine, many pirate groups are interested in Tony Chopper. If you can control this reindeer, even if it is not used in the future, you can still sell it for a good price at a critical moment. Alabasta, Baroque Studio headquarters, is one of the 7 warlords of the sea. Crocodile's temper has reached its limit. After several capable officers disappeared, he has been unable to contact Robin. The last information he got was from Mr. 3. He was going to rob Straw Hat Crew and Princess Vivi and his party in Little Garden. There had been no new information in the past few days, so he mentally acquiesced that his men's mission had failed. He was more interested in the information on the light screen. It was that the God of Zone had boarded the Straw Hat crew's pirate ship. According to the time, they had arrived at Drum Island. With the addition of a legendary ship doctor, he may really pose a threat to Baroque Studio and affect Sand Crocodile's layout in Alabasta. The plan to subvert the entire country is about to succeed. Hundreds of thousands of rebels are gathering in the direction of the capital. To temporarily kill such a new group of pirates, Crocodile puts aside his contempt. He wants to take the Straw Hat crew seriously. Thunder, thunder, thunder. Mr. Zero's phone rang. It was Crocodile's partner calling. You'd better explain to me what's going on these days. Under Sand Crocodile's calm tone, there was a strong murderous intention. His violent mentality had reached a threshold and he was in urgent need of an outlet to vent his anger. Our operation failed. We encountered a demon fruit power that can turn into a giant. Neither Mr. 3 nor I are a match for him. Robin was lying on the turtle boat with his legs crossed to report the latest situation to his boss. The 3 cadres of the studio were defeated and fell into the hands of the giants. In the past few days, I have been trying to find a way to rescue them, and finally the hard work paid off. Mr. 3, Ms. Valentine, and Mr. 5 were rescued by Robin alone. After wasting so much time, the Straw Hat crew couldn't be caught up without a big boat. Robin's small boat couldn't accommodate so many people, so they were temporarily placed on Little Garden Island. As for the 2 giants, they were knocked unconscious and lay in the sea. Crocodile knew that the son of the devil would definitely be useless in the battle, but the other party was not his subordinate. The 2 of them were at best partners. If she hadn't known that Robin could read historical essays, Sand Crocodile would not have tolerated her until now. She included the son of the devil in the Baroque studio, but she was taking a huge risk. Once the world government learned about it, Crocodile's 7 warlords of the sea establishment is absolutely unsustainable. I will send my men to pick up those losers. You go directly to Drum Island. I will take Mr. 1 to go there in person and let the Straw Hat crew be buried on that winter island forever. Crocodile was very disappointed with his men. To deal with a pirate who had just entered the Grand Line, he actually asked him to personally take action, which was also a favor to Luffy and his gang. As for the reindeer doctor, he could save his life. He might be able to get some benefits by handing him over to Marine. A person like this who is a scientific tester could at least be able to get a devil fruit in return. The cadres of Baroque Studio, zone demon fruit power except for a dog, the cadres under his command can be said to be all Paramisha. Chopper is of little help to Crocodile. He wanted to get the ancient weapon, but he never found the historical text of Alabasta, and the king he framed never let go. If Cobra was not a member of the Alliance and qualified to participate in the World Summit, Crocodile would have killed him and replaced him long ago. How ironic that a heinous pirate pretended to be a hero. At this moment, in the country of Alabasta, there is another future 7 warlords of the sea. It is the Blackbeard Pirates who take the place of the future Sand Sharks and fly the 3-skull pirate flag. If I had known I would have waited a little longer at Sigu Island, this light curtain would have come out earlier. A big black fat man couldn't help complaining to the light curtain in the sky, he was simply going against their pirate group. If Wapol hadn't run fast enough, we would have gotten his munch fruit. In the Blackbeard Pirates, Giz's Badgers has always relied on his strong body to fight against the terrifying monster power in his body. Getting the munch fruit is very suitable for him. He has the nickname of Fighting Champion and is wanted by Marine. There is a reward of 20 million belly. Captain, let's grab a fast boat and go back to Sigu Island. I'm more interested in this reindeer, Chopper. Poison Q, the epidemic doctor, has no good impression of other doctors who treat diseases and save people. Fortunately, when their Blackbeard Pirates were causing trouble on Drum Island, Kaleha and Chopper hid, otherwise the witch and pet reindeer would not be able to wait. Straw Hat crew. He was riding a sick horse named Zhuangzwang, and it took a lot of effort to drag him. This mount is not yet capable of flying and is just an ordinary means of transportation. The thought of having to bear the weight of a fat black man in the future is really scary. A bit pitiful. The exposure of Drum Island by the light curtain will attract the attention of many forces. The pirates don't care. Marine is more troublesome. It is necessary for the captain to obtain the title of 7 warlords of the sea. It is not easy to directly conflict with Marine for the time being. Van Oka is the sniper on the Blackbeard Pirate team. He is currently the one with the highest bounty on the Blackbeard Pirate team. The bounty is 64 million belly. His nickname is Ototsu. The sniper's shooting speed was so fast that Usopp didn't even have a chance to pull the slingshot before he was shot down by him. When the Straw Hat crew met him, Luffy relied on his being a rubber man to have a fight with Van Oka. Power. Lafitte, who wears a black top hat and is the navigator and captain of the Blackbeard Pirates, has a good idea in mind to benefit himself at the expense of others. Captain, we can join forces with Crocodile. He should still be in Alabasta. With your status as a traitor, he will definitely help us. Then we will find an opportunity to kill him, take away the devil fruit in his body, and obtain his 7 warlords of the sea quota. Sand Crocodile was beaten violently by Whitebeard on the Grand Line, which completely destroyed the mentality of the man who played with sand. In his heart, he believed that Edward Inuit was an invincible man. Giving up on training his own strength and instead relying on the external object of ancient weapon Pluton, it can be said that Crocodile has lost his heart to become a strong man. He is definitely no match for Blackbeard Teach. Logia sand fruit, we the Blackbeard Pirates need a Logia. Blackbeard Teach was very satisfied with the strategy proposed by the Devil Sheriff. Stepping on the bones of a 7 warlords of the sea and obtaining a spot in the 7 warlords of the sea would be more rewarding than capturing some rookie pirates who had just made a name for themselves. The Blackbeard Pirates became famous across the sea. The pirate who escaped from East Blue with a bounty of 30 million belly. The Blackbeard Pirates originally targeted Luffy. Consider this Straw Hat boy lucky. The Marine, World Government, and pirates all have ideas about this reindeer. All forces finally joined the fight for Tony Chopper. Drum Island, which was originally lonely and unnoticed, once again became famous. In detail, which side is closest to Drum Island? The Straw Hat crew sailing in the sea, with the strength to fight for one against the other, has arrived in the waters near Sigu Island. This kingdom of drums, where winter is all year round, never expected that sakura flowers and trees would be planted in the future. The future revealed by the light curtain convinced the people on board. Our future Shippa doctor is a reindeer and it's really cool that he can transform into so many different ways. Luffy, dressed in a winter coat, was jumping around on the deck. He was very happy to have gained a companion. With this reindeer doctor in the future, the crew would no longer be afraid of getting sick. Mr. Chopper, his future achievements are truly limitless. Ikaram couldn't help but sigh at the information from the light curtain. It would be great if such a talent could be recruited to Alabasta. When he thought that a rebellion was taking place in the country, this minister who could risk his life to serve the king felt like a knife was cutting his heart. Zoro, who keeps practicing his sword outside the cabin, is not very interested in the information of the light curtain. If the reindeer ship's doctor comes on board, he will play the role of protecting it. The other crew members are very unreliable, either because of lack of strength or lack of character. We must not let Luffy Usopp, 2 idiots, lead the ship's doctor astray. Princess Vivi was still taking care of Sanji and Nami in the cabin. These 2 people must have been bitten by some kind of poisonous insect in Little Garden, and the bitten skin began to become red, swollen and enlarged. Sanji was unlucky enough to be bitten on the neck, and Nami was bitten on the right arm. As a result, the 2 of them were infected with an unknown disease. The symptoms were high fever, poor mental state, and talking in sleep. Under the sea where Going Merry was sailing, the people who were eager to seek medical treatment did not find that a pirate ship that could sail underwater followed the Straw Hat crew's sailing direction and headed for Drum Island. I never thought that such an amazing person would appear in my kingdom. An ugly man with dark purple hair, a white hooded shawl of hippopotamus skin on his upper body, and a cylindrical tin plate on his chin. His fat and bloated figure sat in the captain's position, chewing an iron knife in his mouth. As Paramecia Munch fruit user, these life-destroying weapons are his dessert. His Majesty, such an excellent doctor, must be in our hands. The Drum Kingdom will surely prosper once again in your hands. This guy who is flattering is one of Wapol's men, Jace. He is not the cannon-playing scientist in the game. He is wearing a one-piece clown suit and is a marksman with a bow and arrow. This reindeer looks familiar to me. It's the one Dalton let go. Chromamon recalled the quack doctor with a broken brain, who was always accompanied by a reindeer monster. If Dalton hadn't stopped the reindeer from dying, it would have had no future, let alone appear in the light of day. On the screen. Is it possible that such an important figure in the future maritime world will take revenge on them? After all, Cyrulic died under the gunfire of these people. These people on the ship have the lives of their masters. This kind of grudge can never be alleviated. At this time, Chromalaman will not believe that a little monster is not a human being. Will let go of the hatred in my heart. He just kept doing nothing and thanked his king for his advice. Your Majesty, Tony Chopper is a threat. We killed his owner. If we let him grow up, we will never have a good life. Even if he doesn't to take revenge, his future pirate companions will also take revenge on us. I suggest killing him directly. Wapol held the remaining knife handle in his hand. He stopped swallowing and thought about the suggestion made by his courtier Chromalaman. This cruel monarch still had a brain. Tony Chopper has a blood feud with him. This little monster cannot be used by him unless he loses his memory. Handing him over to the world government may be able to get some benefits. But once such a talent establishes a foothold in the world government department, he is likely to carry out crazy revenge on the White Iron Pirates led by Wapol. He does not dare to gamble when it comes to testing human nature. Dalton, the captain of the guard team left by his father to him, became estranged from him because he killed a quack doctor, and eventually betrayed him and stayed on Drum Island. It is unknown whether he was killed by the members of the Blackbeard Pirates. Ever since meeting Tony Chopper, the Wapol people have not had any good things in the Drum Kingdom. It seems that they are born with this monster Mercury retrograde. The other party also hangs out with the witch Kaleha, whom he hates very much. She is simply jumping back and forth on his reverse scale. Follow the Straw Hat Crew's ship and deal with them first, then go to Kaleha and the reindeer to settle the accounts. Drum Island will always belong to me, Wapol. Muhahaha. The wanton laughter completely ignored Straw Hat Luffy. Can the other party be as powerful as the Blackbeard Pirates? Soldiers and groups of doctors knelt before Wapol and shouted, "Long live His Majesty the King." Sigu Island Sigufang Castle Chopper, who was less than 1 meter tall and in human animal form, happily circled in front of the Dr. Kaleha. This reindeer, whose mind was not yet mature, was praised by an outsider for the first time. The look of joy and happiness almost overflowed from the corners of Chopper's mouth. The feeling of being recognized by others made this reindeer enjoy it very much. Mother Doctor, I will finally develop a panacea in the future. I have not let down Cyrulic. In the future, that light screen said. Chopper, whose emotional intelligence was as simple as Luffy, believed it on the spot without considering any consequences. The ageless witch Kaleha was not dazzled by Chopper's joy. She had a gloomy face from beginning to end. She was not jealous of Chopper's achievements in future medicine. The disciples she taught still had 2 skills. She also knew about the Blue Wave Ball. Chopper was not yet an adult and couldn't hide the matter in his heart. He told her as soon as it was developed. The witch doctor didn't pay much attention to it at first. Now it seems that the importance of this Blue Wave Ball has been underestimated, completely subverting Zone Devil Fruit. But is this a good thing or a bad thing? It may be a good thing for Zone Demon Fruit power, but it must be a bad thing for Chopper, who has no self-protection ability. Chopper, it looks like we have to leave here again and hide in our secret base. Last time when the Blackbeard Pirates were wreaking havoc on Drum Island, the sharp-minded witch Kaleha escaped the hunt of Poison Q, the epidemic doctor, and now she has to hide with her apprentice again. Chopper is used to this kind of hiding life. He used to live with his adoptive father Cyrulic and was often chased and beaten. Sometimes he would hide in one place and it would take him a long time to hide. Okay, doctor, let's pack up and leave here now. Kaleha is the master and adoptive mother. Chopper trusts everything she says. His little head is a little confused. He doesn't understand why the doctor is so nervous, or is she afraid? Isn't it a good thing to be recognized by the light curtain? When Drum Island fell into a struggle between various parties, the light screen that had been playing the slideshow changed, telling the world about the tragic first half of Tony Chopper's life. Tony Chopper, according to the Chronicles of Nicole, has the most detailed life trajectory. He is an important figure that cannot be avoided in the Great Pirates era. He is widely recognized by later historians and has the highest degree of credibility. The Nico Chronicles, written by the descendants of Nico Robin, describes in detail the major events that occurred in the Great Pirates era, plus historical biographies of dozens of important figures. Last time, I talked about a small part of the biography of Buggy the Clown. This time Lita S. talk about the historical content of Chopper S. biography at once. The historian who compiled Nico S. Chronicles did not shy away from the fact that her ancestor Nico Robin was dubbed the son of the devil by the world government during the Great Pirate era. Her ancestor was an archaeologist and a witness to history. Witness how the world government, which has ruled the world for more than 800 years, disintegrated step by step, and finally disappeared completely into the dust of history. Watch him build tall buildings, watch him entertain guests, and watch his buildings collapse. The mystery of Tony Chopper's life experience was officially revealed today. The specific reindeer herd he was born in cannot be verified because it is too old. He was born in a wild reindeer herd on Sigu Island. Because he was born with a blue nose, he was regarded as an alien in the eyes of the reindeer herd and was not recognized by any of his peers. He was kicked out by the leader of the reindeer herd when he was young. The young Chopper had no one to rely on and could only rely on his amazing willpower struggles in the heavy snow and cold weather. Unable to get food from the elders of the herd, a young deer digs out the snow with its immature hooves to find food for itself. Perhaps it is Goda's favor that allows him to see a fruit growing on a small tree. The hunger in the belly forced the young reindeer not to let go of the food in front of him. He ate the fruit in just a few mouthfuls. He was really hungry. Although the reindeer found the fruit very unpalatable when they tasted it, I was able to fill this little reindeer's belly and finally survive this snowy day. It was later learned that the fruit he ate was a devil fruit, a zone fruit in the form of an ordinary person, and one of the most trashy devil fruits in the sea. If you eat this fruit, you will develop wisdom equivalent to human beings and gain human language skills. During this period, you will not receive special ability bonuses. It can allow animals to gain human wisdom, so no intelligent animals can eat it. It works. This garbage fruit fell into the hands of humans after Chopper died and was eaten by an unlucky guy. He did not gain any abilities and only increased part of his IQ. The price was that he could not go to the sea for life and became a laughing stock in the town. Zone Renren fruit gave birth to a large number of strong men at sea in the era of great pirates, each of whom left a mark in history. Marine Marshal Sengoku, Zone's fruit phantom beast giant Buddha form. Marine Vice Admiral Belumibo, Zone human fruit phantasmal beast Arhat form. Marine Trader Kebi, Zone human fruit phantom beast species Bodhisattva form. Pirate Allen, Zone fruit common giant form, the fox of Wanokuni Kazuki's family, the Zone fruit phantom beast species a grand entrance form. I have given so many examples to prove that the Renren fruit eaten by Chopper is useless if eaten by humans, and even more disgusting if eaten by animals. Without the appearance of Tony Chopper, this fruit for everyone will always be nailed to the pillar of shame in history. It wasn't the devil fruit that made Chopper, it was Chopper that made this everyone fruit. After Chopper ate this fruit, he couldn't control the change of form for a while and maintained Zone's human form, but he was actually a reindeer. The human form of the reindeer turned into a 2-meter-tall antlered monster with brown fur. In this form, Chopper wanted to return to the reindeer herd, but was attacked by more reindeer elders. From the perspective of the reindeer herd, this half-human, half-deer monster must never let Chopper get close to the herd. In this way, he will never be eligible to return to the herd. Chopper was very sad to be abandoned by his own race. He ate the Renren fruit and now he can speak human language. A childish thought came to his mind. Since the reindeer herd did not accept him, humans should accept him. He has now become human. He maintained the appearance of half man and half deer, and came to the human gathering area of Sigu Island, imagining that humans could accept him, but the reality was that countless muskets were pointed at him, and humans are extremely xenophobic creatures. They even have mermaids. Such a beautiful creature cannot be accepted, let alone such a nondescript monster. Bullets were shot at Chopper one after another. Chopper, who was in human form and made of flesh and blood, could only avoid his vital parts while hiding deep in the snow forest. From then on, he left a blue-nosed snowman on Drum Island. Legend has it that disobedient children will be eaten by the snowman on a snowy day, which has become a childhood shadow for many children. Although he finally escaped human pursuit and was spared the fate of being skinned and eaten, Chopper fell into despair and fell on the snow. He was seriously injured and lost the reason to live. The reindeer herd did not accept him, and humans even attacked him. He couldn't please either side, and he didn't have any sense of belonging. His young mind thought that dying in the snow might be a kind of relief. If a quack doctor didn't happen to pass by, the world would be missing a famous doctor. Hilulik, a quack doctor, is not worthy of being remembered by history. He rarely cured patients during his lifetime of practicing medicine. Most of them aggravated the disease. Fortunately, there was no record of anyone dying. It was such a coincidence of fate that Sirulik encountered a half-man, half-deer monster lying on the snow in the snow. The monster was seriously injured, and the wound continued to bleed, staining the entire snow red. Land. He stepped forward to treat the other party, but when Chopper saw the human beings appearing, the other party also took out a tranquilizer gun similar to a musket. He also thought that the other party was coming to hurt him. With the resentment of being attacked by a human musket, he kept hitting the opponent, but without stopping his strength, Sirulik was beaten all over with bruises and bruises. After venting his temper, Chopper discovered a strange thing. Even if the human being beaten by him treated him like this, the other person still had to treat Chopper's gunshot wound. In order to gain the trust of the reindeer, Sirulik went to the hospital in the ice and snow. He took off his clothes and showed that he had no malicious intent and no weapons to harm the reindeer. I didn't understand why this human wanted to save him. Chopper didn't resist after that and allowed Cyrulic to bandage his wounds. With the help of a strange human being, Chopper saw hope of living. Coupled with the strong recovery power of Zone Devil Fruit, this kind of wound can be recovered quickly. The reindeer, who had nowhere to go, was taken home by Cyrulic to take care of him. He ate hot food for the first time where he lived, felt the warmth and tenderness of human kindness for the first time, and the reindeer shed tears of emotion. My heart opens up to humans for the first time. Hilulic became the actual adoptive father of the reindeer. The little reindeer walked upright on 2 hooves and could talk, but it was difficult to communicate with him without a name. Based on the fact that he had antlers on his head and could break trees, he was named Tony Chopper. A name recorded in the annals of human history was born in the mouth of a quack doctor.